As you see them unveil yet another pennant up on the wall, this time honoring the 2013 Eastern Division champions. There you have it. They won it last year, Brian. Lost a couple of veterans. What do they have to do to put another pennant up there this year?
Well, they got to stay healthy. That's the number one thing. I really feel like the Braves have the pieces in place to do it again. Although, you know, in spring training we lost some key players in Metlin and Beachy. But quickly, Frank Wren and the organization went out and signed 2 veterans in Santana and Harang. And we saw what they could do already. Harang pitching an outstanding game. So the Braves are going to do whatever it takes to put another pennant up this year. And I like what I see, Paul.
No, I agree with you. And we just need the young guys to step up, whether that's Hale or whether that's Alex Wood. They don't have time to grow up. They got to pitch like veterans now, stay healthy, like Brian said, and just really, you know, give this team quality starts. And if they move to the bullpen, don't worry about it. Pitch well out of the pen.
Paul, they're off to a 4-2 start, but they lost Brian McCann and Tim Hudson to free agency. And then, of course, as Brian mentioned, we lost 2 of the quality pitchers to injuries in the spring. Leadership, where do you see it coming from already?
Man, that's a great question. I think you're going to have some vocal leaders in the clubhouse. I think you're going to have some guys that lead by example, like the Haywards. You need somebody like a Freddie Freeman. Even though he's young, they'll need to give some veteran leadership in that clubhouse.
Is it possible, BJ, to get it out of guys young like a Freddie Freeman who does his talking with the bat?
I really believe so. You almost have to. And the Braves committed a lot in Freddie Freeman already and Andrelton Simmons. They expect these guys to go in that clubhouse, have fun, but go out there and lead. Be vocal. Have some fun. Show some emotion. I really feel like Jason Haywood is that guy. He's the all-purpose player. And if he plays well, this team plays well.
Speaking of Jay Hay, let's meet the new squad. Here again, public address announcer Casey Motter.
From Atlanta, welcome to the New York Mets. Here are tonight's starting lineups presented by Dunkin' Donuts. For the Mets, led by the manager, number 10, Terry Collins. Leading off, playing left field, number 22, Eric Young. Batting second, playing second base, number 28, Daniel Murphy. Batting third, playing third base, number 5, David Wright. Batting fourth, playing right field, number 3, Curtis Granderson. Batting fifth, playing first base, number 21, Lucas Duda. Batting sixth, playing center field, number 12, Juan Lagares. In the bullpen, batting seventh and catching, number 15, Travis d'Arnaud. Batting eighth, playing shortstop, number 11, Ruben Tejada. And batting ninth, warming up in the bullpen, the pitcher, number 40, Bartolo Colon. And please welcome the rest of the 2014 New York Mets. And now, for your 2014 Atlanta Braves. Put your hands together for Braves head trainer Jeff Porter. Assistant trainer Jim Lovell. Director of Team Travel and Equipment Manager Bill Agree. Visiting Clubhouse Manager John Holland. Assistant Visiting Clubhouse Manager Fred Stone. Clubhouse and Team Travel Manager Chris Van Zandt. Assistant Clubhouse and Equipment Manager, Ben Agree. Video Coordinator, Rob Smith. Field Director, Ed Mangan. Director of Strength and Conditioning, Rick Slate. Strength and Conditioning Coach, number 60, Phil Falco. Assistant Coach, number 62, Horacio Ramirez. In the bullpen catcher, number 55, Alan Butts. Hitting coach, number 27, Greg Walker. Assistant hitting coach, number 56, Scott Fletcher. In the bullpen coach, number 12, Eddie Perez. First base coach, number 9, Terry Pendleton. Third base coach, number 28, Doug DeCenzo. In the bullpen, pitching coach, number 45, Roger McDowell. And bench coach, number 18, Carlos Tosca. And now, get up and make some noise for your 2014 Atlanta Braves players. Number 1, Tyler Pesternicki. Number 4, Ryan Domit. Number 11, Gerald Laird. Number 14, Ramiro Pena. Number 17, Jordan Schaefer. Number 37, Brandon Beachy. Number 38, Anthony Barbaro. Number 39, Johnny Vinters. Number 40, Alex Wood. Number 43, Luis Avila. Number 46, Greg Kimbrell. Number 48, David Carpenter. Number 49, Julio Teheran. Number 50, Gus Schlosser. Number 51, Pedro Beato. Number 52, Jordan Walden. Number 53, Corey Garrett. Number 54, Chris Medlin. Number 57, David Hale. And number 58, Ian Thomas. And now, the starting lineup for your 2014 Atlanta Braves. Led by the manager, number 33, Freddie Gonzalez. 22, Jason Hayward. Batting second, playing center field, number 2, B.J. Upton. Batting third, playing first base, number 5, Freddie Freeman. Batting fourth, playing third base, number 23, Chris Johnson. Batting fifth, playing left field, number 8, Justin Upton. Batting sixth, playing second base, number 26, Dan Uggla. In the bullpen, batting seventh and catching, number 24, Evan Gattis. Batting eighth, playing shortstop, number 19, Andrelton Simmons. And warming up in the bullpen, batting ninth, tonight's starting pitcher, number 34, Aaron Harang. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2014 Atlanta Braves.
From Let's Meet the Guys to Let's Beat the Mets. The home opener about to get underway. Game 1 from Turner Field. Between the New York Mets and your Atlanta Braves, Bartolo Colon and Aaron Harang on the hill. We'll have all the action for you and talk to you and wrap it all up in the postgame show. Chip, Joe, and Smoltzy coming up next.
Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Sports Now.
The Atlanta Braves, a storied franchise. Year after year, exciting us with incredible achievements, magical moments, some spanning decades, and some taking place in the blink of an eye.
Braves win! Braves win! Braves win! Braves win! Braves win!
We've seen records broken.
There's a new home run champion of all time!
We've seen champions crowned.
Yes! 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 The Atlanta Braves have given you a championship!
And we've seen young men grow into legends of the game. Today, as we tip our cap to the past, we look forward to the future. Braves fans bound together by hope, anticipating another season filled with snapshots of courage and skill, instincts and emotions. And while this grand game has been played the same for centuries, there's one thing for certain. You never know what you're going to see next.
It's opening night in Atlanta, where all season long Braves baseball is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. The right stuff, the low price, every day. We honor Henry Aaron tonight. 40 years ago tonight, he hit historic home run number 715. A marvelous pregame ceremony. The appetizer for the entree. It's game one of the home schedule as the Mets are in town to kick off a 3-game series. Hi again, friends, with Joe Simpson and our old pal John Smoltz. I'm Chip Carey. Welcome to Braves Baseball. John, it's going to be great to have you in the booth all season long with us here on Fox. And I'd like to get your impressions on what you've seen from the ball club the first 6 games played so far.
Well, 7 to 10 days out of the season doesn't make a year, but given the fact that the Braves are shorthanded, I couldn't think of a better start, going 4-2, and really the pitching staff is what did it. Their offense has started out slow, and the fact that the guys that chipped in have done a great job, you couldn't ask for a better start to come here at home.
4-2 on the road, but Joe, as we found out last year for the Braves, there's no place like home.
They had the best record in baseball last year, guys. They were 56-25. And when you look at these numbers in terms of their rankings in the National League, you see why. They started off well in April, too. They hope to do that again this year. But this team in town right now, the New York Mets, were a pesky bunch. The Braves were only 10-9 against New York last year. And of those 25 losses, 5 came against New York.
All the ceremony began honoring Henry Aaron. There's another Aaron participating tonight. He's the man on the mound for the Braves. Aaron Harang makes his home debut tonight. He'll face Bartolo Colon when we get to baseball. It's the Braves and it's the Mets tonight.
the Georgia Lottery, Toyota, and AT&T.
It is already an unforgettable night at Turner Field as the Braves open the home portion of the 2014 season against the New York Mets. Welcome back to Turner Field. I'm Tom Hart. 40 years ago, Hank Aaron was the talk of the nation in his pursuit of Babe Ruth's home run record. 4 days into this season, Aaron Harang was nearly the talk of baseball. He took a no-hitter into the 7th inning against the Milwaukee Brewers, matching zeros with Matt Garza. How unexpected was it? Well, consider Aaron Harang is with his 5th organization over the last 13 months. It all started with spring training with the Dodgers last March, traded to the Rockies and then quickly to the Mariners. After being released by the Mariners, he caught on with this Mets team and went to spring training with the Indians. Had a chance to make the rotation, and when he was informed that he wouldn't make the rotation, Harang realized that he would have an opportunity better with someone else. And that better was with the Atlanta Braves. Now a key piece of the rotation here in a key part of the season where the Braves see nearly nothing but division opponents. Aaron Harang looks to match with the Mets tonight. It's Harang and the Braves in the home opener against the New York Mets. Chip, Joe, and John have the call here at Turner Field when we return.
Delta Airlines, and Ford.
Chamber of Commerce weather in Atlanta tonight. It is a gorgeous evening for the Braves home opener here at Turner Field. A huge crowd has gathered to honor Henry Aaron as we welcome the New York Mets to town. And how the Braves and Mets played in 2013 is our Home Depot tools from the dugout. As Joe mentioned a moment ago, the Mets had a bad year last year. You wouldn't know it how tough they played the Braves.
Winning 10 out of the 19 games, the Braves were tested every time they played New York. And it was just 5-5 of the 10 games played here at Turner Field.
So here's how Terry Collins and the Mets line up tonight. They start play this year at 2-4 on the year. Strikeouts a big problem for his starting 8 so far. Eric Young leads off with Danny Murphy batting and playing second. David Wright, a Braves killer, hits third. Lucas Duda's the number 5 hitter. He's apparently won the first base job over Ike Davis. Juan Lagares in center. Travis d'Arnaud is hitless so far this year. Ruben Tejada hits 8th, and the ageless wonder Bartolo Colon, John, will pitch and bat 9th against Aaron Harang.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of the 75 years of starting pitching on tonight's opener for the Braves, but Aaron Harang doing a nice job. Of course, he's a rhythm pitcher. You're going to see fastballs that primarily do not stay in the middle of the plate, an occasional curveball and slider, and look for his veteran leadership to fill the gap while some of the Braves starters get healthy.
And his 4 keys to pitching success tonight. He works down and away to almost everybody, but especially the right-handers, and he's pretty good at hitting that spot down and away to right-handers. He's got a good changeup. As John said, he's going to need to utilize that tonight, keep the Mets off balance. 6'7", 260. We're not going to lack for any weight on the mound tonight either.
Might have to raise it in time for tomorrow's game. So Eric Young Jr. is ready to lead things off against Aaron Harang. He's no stranger to opening day assignments. He was the Reds opening day starter for 5 years while with Cincinnati. While this isn't the first game of the year, it is still a very special event, John, as you know, pitching the first game at home.
It always is. You want to get off to a good start. You leave camp hoping for the expectations to a low ERA, and that's definitely what he has.
First pitch hit at 90 miles an hour for a strike. It's 60 degrees. Winds out of the north-northwest at 8 miles per hour. Perfect night. Eric Young at 105 so far on the year. And that'll improve with a clean single to lead off the game for New York. There are some guys in this lineup for the Mets who have given Aaron Harang a lot of trouble. Young is one of them. He's now 5 for 7 in his career.
Hanging breaking ball. Big break for Eric, who is one of those guys struggling, though, off to a 2 for 19 start before that base hit.
This is Daniel Murphy, the Mets' second baseman.
By the way, loving the throwback unis to 1974.
Let's see if Young does some running early for the Mets. As Harang gets ahead of Murphy.
For a big guy, he's got a pretty decent slide step. You know, you think at 6'6" it'd be a little harder for him to go, but when he throws the ball correct and effectively, it looks like he's not even throwing it. So that means the ball's getting on the hitters quicker than they recognize it.
Good stop by Evan Gattis. And
Mets,
Murphy 1-1.
Sorry, Chip. The Mets have no stolen bases, and they have no caught stealings. So they've been pretty much going station to station.
When they can get on. The problem is, Joe, they've struck out 61 times at 186 at bats this year. For Terry Collins. Young with a good lead at first. Is anchored there as Murphy looks outside the ball, too.
Well, what's interesting about each organization having different philosophies, whether it's pitching, hitting, the Mets have seemed to adopt one where they want to work the count. They want to have the pitchers throw a lot deep in the count, which therefore brings in deeper counts and strikeouts.
Two balls, two strikes. So if you're on the mound, how do you attack that philosophy for offense?
Well, you look at this good, real hard breaking ball that comes down. The one thing is they're going to give you, it seems like, a lot of first pitch strikes, so you can work on attack. You can be aggressive until they prove different, because they don't seem to like to swing at a lot of first pitches. And it feeds into a pitcher who has secondary stuff that he can really use once you get to two strikes. And I would assume, Joe, that when you get to two strikes, hitting is not as easy as it would be if the count was in your favor. So I don't know about all the theories that are going on with maybe the Mets and baseball in general. You got to have the right hitters to apply the theory.
Well, you're talking about two teams that are opposites then in that category, because the Braves, I think right now, are second in the National League in terms of pitches seen per at bat. And you know how aggressive several of the hitters in the Braves order are on that first pitch.
Murphy alive, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Young a lead at first. And that's sliced into the seats foul.
And it always seems to go hand in hand. If a guy's struggling, he's going to be more aggressive early because he doesn't want to get to 2 strikes. The guy typically strikes out. And I know strikeouts in baseball are no big deal anymore. It's just an out, so you hear. But I think there is some value in being able to, between a Joey Votto and a guy who swings all the time, somewhere in the middle, helps your lineup do a little bit more than what first ball swinging typically always does. And if I had a first ball guy at the plate, more than likely I was throwing a slider. It wasn't going to be a fastball all the time, because I could get a quick strike if he was aggressive.
Young is running. The pitch is pulled foul at first. And EY will head back as Murphy putting up a fight. He broke his bat. And the count remains 2 balls, 2 strikes. Murphy was a real bright spot for the Mets last season. He played in every game but one for New York. He had 188 hits, batted .286 for the season. He also scored 92 runs. Not this time. Harang got him down and away for out number 1.
There's a down and away, John, and that one had something on it. 92.
Yeah, here's the free and easy delivery. Doesn't look like he's throwing hard, and the ball keeps its plane. You see the tail right there at 92. Great location. Ball sinks away. Murphy doesn't have enough time to recognize it being a ball, and a strikeout.
David Wright, the Mets captain, is the hitter. 112 games for Wright last year. Still 18 homers, 58 knocked in, and a 307 mark. Again, Young runs. The throw from Gaddis is high, and Young is in safely with the stolen base. As Joe mentioned, the first for the Mets. Young had 46 of them last season.
And he'll be up among the league leaders this year, too. Good throw might have had him. This one a little bit high, though, from Evan, who's probably a little amped up, anticipating him going. David Wright's still one of my favorite players to watch on another team.
RBI spot for him. Wright already has 3 runs batted in this year. And Young a good lead at second with 1 out. That's fouled at the plate. Even count.
Well, for David Wright, obviously he's tied up. He's the face of the Mets. You wonder at some point when they're going to surround him with some players and a chance to win. They're doing it right with their pitching. I know they took a hit with Harvey and Tommy John, but the young pitching they got coming up gives them hope for the future. Now they just need a few more pieces to be more competitive.
Right side through 2020 in New York. Hard to believe he's 31 now. Seems like only yesterday we were talking about him being his early 20s.
And that loyalty went both ways, guys. I mean, the Mets did re-sign him and gave him a nice contract. He could easily have bolted to a team that could win sooner than the Mets, but he chose to stay.
That's too high. 3 balls and a strike.
Be careful here. He has excellent power to right center field. So if you go to that down and away spot, make it a little off the plate.
Rolled to the left side. Simmons backhand and a perfect throw. Gets David Wright. 2 outs. Young still at second. Here's a look at the Braves defensive lineup tonight. Left to right in the outfield. Upton, and Hayward. Chris Johnson, Andrelton Simmons, Dan Uggla, Freddie Freeman around the horn from third to first. Good to see Evan Gaddis back in the lineup after his flu bug bout sidelined him in Washington, D.C.
They have, I think, league-wide, a very underrated defense, do the Braves. I've been very impressed with how they make up for certain components in their speed in the outfield. And then, of course, their infield play anchored by Simmons, one of the best in the game.
How about this for a real crazy number, John? I read this about Chris Johnson and Andrelton. Everybody knows about Andrelton's defense, but I don't know that Chris gets enough credit. Of all the ground balls hit to the left side of second base last year against Atlanta, only 22% went for hits.
I mean, that's impressive when you think about
picking them up.
The ground ball pitchers they had, too. You know, Hudson's not here, but he was obviously known for his sinker and the amount of ground balls. That helps a pitcher beyond belief.
Curtis Granderson has an even count, a ball and a strike. And a line drive right to Freddie Freeman at first. Retires the side. The Mets get a leadoff hit. Nothing else. Here come the Braves at home. In high gear tonight. Here's how Freddie lines them up for game 1 at Turner Field, where the Braves won 56 times last year. Hayward, BJ, and Freddie. Freeman first, second, and third. Freeman had great numbers against the Mets last year. Johnson, Justin, Dan Uggla hitting 6th, Gaddis 7th, Andrelton Simmons 8th, and Harang 9th against Bartolo Colon.
Bartolo Colon, if you haven't seen him pitch, he is 40 years old. You're going to see nothing but fastballs, almost a Greg Maddux type comeback sinker. Primarily 80% of his pitches will be fastball. Had an unbelievable year last year with Oakland,
where he went 18-6 with the A's in 30 starts and only 29 walks in 190 innings of work.
For him to be successful, that's the type pitch, the first pitch he needs to get. He moves it in and out, and with 2 strikes, you'll see him start that ball in against the left-hander, try to get the comeback freeze up.
Jason Hayward was bothered with a sore neck in the latter days of the Washington series. And he looks to snap out of an 0-for-17 slide in the early days of the season.
Colon will be 41 years old next month. Out of the Dominican Republic, he is 5'11", and if you were wondering, 285. 285.
Two balls, 2 strikes. And he got Hayward looking. Late movement strikes him out. Jason not sure about that call from Lance Barksdale. 1 down.
Well, this is what we were talking about. A lot of his strikeouts are going to be looking. He doesn't get a ton of swing and misses, and he gets the bottom part of the strike zone, which a pitcher and a catcher are going to love. A hitter, not so much.
That's something Terry Collins was concerned about after Colon's first start against the Nationals. He said for Bartolo to be effective, he has to pitch just like that. And he gets Hayward looking for the first out of the ball game. Brings up B.J. Upton.
Gave up 9 hits to Washington in 6 innings, but only 3 runs because he didn't walk anybody.
And Upton's down swinging on 3 pitches. 2 up, 2 down via the strikeout.
4 keys to success for Bartolo Colon tonight. They're coming. Promise. Number 1, go the distance. Their bullpen is in such disarray. He'd be better off if he went 9 tonight. And number 2, mind over matter. He'll be 41 next month. I gave you his weight. If none of that matters to you, then you find shape.
Hey, the Mets gave him 2 years and $20 million to
there you go.
Toil in Queens. And he's ahead of Freddie Freeman with a strike. And Freeman strikes one toward right center field. That's going to get down and roll to the fence. A double for a red-hot Freddie Freeman.
John, it's gotten to the point where I expect Freddie to get a hit every time up. And he may not do that, of course, but he's going to hit the ball hard every time he makes contact.
Well, you're watching 2 significantly different hitters going in different directions. Short swing to the ball, and of course he makes loud contact. And BJ and having struggled with the long swing, and of course didn't make contact before him. Same kind of pitches, but different approaches. That's why it drives a pitcher crazy when you've got a guy that, like you said, feels like he's going to get hit or hit it hard every time he's up.
And here's another guy you could say the same thing about. Chris Johnson, the Braves cleanup man. 10th in the league last year with a .336 batting average with runners in scoring position. And a chance for the 2-out safety to score Freeman and put the Braves up in the first inning. Fly ball to right. Anderson drifts back, and he's got it. And that will retire the side. The hits are even at 1 after 1, and still no score in Atlanta. Braves and Mets playing in the Braves home opener here at Turner Field. That's one of the big storylines. Of course, the other is celebrating one of the great achievements in all of sports history, and certainly in the history of the Atlanta Braves franchise. That, of course, Henry Aaron's 715th career home run, passing Babe Ruth. And the man that knows Henry Aaron very well is the Commissioner of Baseball, Bud Selig. Welcome to Atlanta on this incredible night.
Thank you, Chip, John. It's a pleasure to be here. I think back to when I started watching Henry in 1954, and his whole career is just amazing when you look back on it. The nicest part of it is he's always been the same. He's the same person that I met. I don't know, it's 56 years ago. Shows you how old we're getting, and he and I are exactly the same age. So, but it was really a great night. I know it meant a lot to him.
Where were you? What were you doing when Hank broke the record here in Atlanta?
I was I was in Milwaukee, sitting in my office. I was trying to get down here, but I don't remember that, and I'll never forget that night. It was just stunning. You expected it to happen, but when it happened, it's like a lot of things in life. Wow! He just broke Babe Ruth's record.
You can say you saw him beginning in 1954, and tonight we've been chronicling the home runs and what a great hitter he was. But I keep telling people,
Lucas Duda pops one up, leading off the inning. Gattis and foul ground. Puts the squeeze on that.
He was truly a 5-tool player. Great arm, great speed, stole a lot of bases too.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because I just said to a group of people that I was walking up here with, I wish you could have seen him hit in the 50s. And before he was really started to pull the ball, I have never seen a man hit the ball harder. He hit rockets to right field, right center field, center field. There was a day that I remember, a friend of mine and I were talking, we went to a game in the summer, 55, and Sad Sam Jones was pitching for the Cubs. Toothpick Jones, I think was his name. Henry wasn't too fond of him, but that's a whole other story. And he hit a line drive past Jones's head. And it went out and went over into the trees past the center field fence, and you just never saw a ball go out of a ballpark that fast. It was really amazing. So yeah, he was I know everybody talks about the home run, but what a great hitter he was.
It's amazing too, Commissioner Selig, how we all talk about how the game has changed so dramatically. Something I wasn't aware of, that Henry Aaron over the course of his 23 big league career averaged 63 strikeouts a year and never struck out more than 97 times in the big leagues.
And would never spend a day in the disabled list. Pretty good at 23 years.
Kind of like you, John.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, no, wait, you did.
A few times.
Okay. Once or twice.
3 balls and a strike to Lagares. And Aaron gets it by him. It's a full count now. From a historical perspective, Mr. Commissioner, we all celebrate yearly Jackie Robinson and the integration of baseball.
Right.
I think it's safe to say that as Lagares is down swinging, you listen to Vin Scully's historic call of Henry Aaron's home run, and you think of the historical and societal impact that moment had. What a wonderful, transcendent moment for sport, for society, and for America, what Henry Aaron did in the Deep South.
You really can't emphasize enough how important that was. I know Henry went through a lot, and there was a lot of heartbreak and a lot of heartache I know that he went through. He and I have often talked about it since then, but it was a great moment. It's the kind of moment that baseball can produce. It really, and only baseball can produce a moment like that people who were here or saw it will never forget. And it meant a lot. That really, I try to say tonight, that transcended baseball. More important than baseball. Oop. Why am I ducking out of the way, John? You wouldn't let that ball hit me, would you?
No, I'd let it hit me. I've already had that happen.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
I would think, though, as the commissioner, one of the greatest things you can do to show a representation of how great he is by the award that you created.
John, that's right. Just something that Joe had said before. Henry was such a great all-around hitter that sometimes that gets lost in the translation. And so in 1999, when we named the Henry Aaron Award in hitters in both leagues, God, it was really the best all-around hitter, because that's really what he was.
Mr. Commissioner, could you stick around for another half inning?
I will.
It's always great talking baseball with Bud Selig. Aaron Harang pitching well on a night we salute Henry Aaron. No score in the second. Simpson, John Smoltz, and the commissioner of Major League Baseball, Bud Selig. I'm Chip Carey from Turner Field on a very, very special night.
Mr. Commissioner, you have a date coming up next January that you say this will be your last year and that you will retire at that point. What led you to that decision, and what are your plans after retirement?
Well, January 24th, 2015, not that I know the exact date, but I do. And that will be my last day. They've renewed me 3 or 4 times, and people keep saying that, but no, really, it's, Henry Aaron and I, birthdays are only about 4 or 5 months apart, so I'm going to have my 80th birthday July 30th this year. And at that point, I'll have done the job over 23 years, and a lot longer, as I just said to Chip, than I ever thought. There's a time in life to come, but there's also a time in life to go. And this, for me, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to teach at 2 or 3 universities. I am doing, in fact, I'm going to teach tomorrow. And I'm going to write a book, and I'll be very, very busy. But I'm looking forward to it.
I have a feeling it's not going to be like the class I took at Oklahoma, Theory of Baseball.
No. I can assure you. Well, it's actually Sports in American Society, 1960 to the present. So, I know you guys want to come and monitor the course. I can even flunk all 3 of you out at some point.
We don't have to attend
for you to do that.
I know you have said, and you've been asked what you believe your legacy will be, and I believe, and I won't put words in your mouth, you said that's for the historians to decide.
It's true.
If you had to pick 2 or 3 things about which you are most proud during your tenure as the commissioner, what would they be?
Well, the economic reformation of the game. I mean, there have been so many changes.
Garrison Center should handle that drive from Upton, and he does. 1 out.
And it led to the competitive balance that we have today, which we've never had before. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of 21 years of labor peace. I'd say that to all of you who lived through. I mean, the time I came in baseball in 1970, we had a labor stoppage every 2 or 3 years, and it was bad. It hurt the sport. And so there have been a lot of changes that I'm really proud of, and the fact that our attendance the last 10 years are the greatest years, and our gross revenue has gone from $1.2 billion to $8.5 billion, which is a sign of how popular the sport is. And I don't think people quite understand how really popular it is. So I think all these changes have been, but I'm not going to waste a lot of time evaluating myself. I'll let the historians do it, and I really mean that. I'll let other people do that.
I know that you grew up watching the Cubs. As a former Cubs broadcaster, we know an awful lot about trying to sell hope.
Right.
I think that's something that you have done very well in the game too, and that is competitive balance. So many teams at the start of the season realistically have a shot of making the playoffs.
That's what we set out to do in the 90s, and it was tough between revenue sharing and doing all the things we're doing. But when you look at the competitive balance we have today, guys, compared to in the 90s, there were a lot of teams that just couldn't win, and you knew it, and we knew it, and everybody knew it. And today, you know, Pittsburgh winning, Oakland winning last year. I mean, it's really been a change, and that's a result of all the changes that we've made. So and that's why talk about hope and faith, which are my key words I use to the owners at every meeting. On April 1st, you try to maximize the number of teams that have a realistic hope and faith of being competitive. You know, win that'll let the year take it, and we're at an all-time high on that score, and I'm delighted.
David Wright at third handles a shot from Dan Unger, and due to the stretch at first, 2 out.
On the business side, and as great as things are economically, there are still a couple of teams that are struggling or scuffling a little bit with stadium situations. And I looked at what happened in Montreal for those 2 exhibition games, and 50,000 plus for 2 games between these Mets and the Blue Jays. That was pretty impressive.
Very impressive. They did a wonderful job up there. It's amazing. Look, you know, and they know this, although sometimes memories are a little short. We tried to keep a team there. They need a new stadium. There was no ownership. It was tough, but you know, you'll always have a couple clubs. But we have 22 new stadiums, and I know Tampa people are talking. Stu Sternberg, their owner's done a terrific job, and
base hit to right for Evan Gattis.
And we'll eventually resolve the San Francisco-Oakland situation. But other than that, we're really in very good shape.
Well, the internationalization of the game, the WBC is an awful lot of fun. Joe and I were joking during spring training. If you want to put teams in Barcelona, Rome, Paris, we'd happily take a month-long road trip over there at some point during the summer.
John and I are going back to Sydney. That was quite an experience. People ask me about the future of the game, and I tell you, if we keep up the internationalization and are really good and smart about it, and they will be, and we will be, this sport will grow. It has the potential to grow. It's really unbelievable. So that's another thing that we're really working on. I think next year a lot of people in Europe want us to come over, so I think people will be surprised where we go next year, and it's going to be terrific.
Well, Mr. Commissioner, it is always a pleasure to have you with us. We would love to sit and talk baseball with you all night, but I know you have lots of friends to meet with, Bill Bartholomew among them.
You're right.
And hope you get a chance to spend some time with Hank Aaron tonight and reminisce over 40 incredible years.
Thank you, Chip, and John, and Joe, and it's a pleasure to be with you.
Mr. Commissioner,
thank you.
With pleasure.
Yeah, John.
Bud Selig with us here at Turner Field in Atlanta. As Anderson Simmons bats with 2 outs. And Evan Gattis aboard with the second Braves hit of the ball game. Fly ball, right field, Granderson and Lagares. It'll be Granderson, he's got it. And that retires the side. Scoreless game in Atlanta. We head to the 3rd. With you, Tom Hart as well. As we open up the home portion of the schedule in Atlanta tonight, let's see if the home cooking helps us in the trivia question. Joe and I are scuffling. Actually, Joe's not scuffling. I am. The question tonight is, off what Hall of Fame pitcher did Hank Aaron hit his most career home runs? Wow. I think I know this one.
Well, you got a guess?
Man, I'm not even. I don't even know where to go.
I had one guy come to mind right away. Don Drysdale.
That's where I was going to go.
Was it?
But I get confused in the era, so I was only 6 when he broke the home run record. So.
Right. Well, Hank Aaron's first homer came off Vic Raschi in 1954. His 1,000th hit came off Sandy Koufax in 1959. A 20-year string for Henry Aaron of 20 or more homers. Let's go to 7:55 as Ruben Tejada starts off the third for the Mets. Tejada spent most of the year last year in AAA. He hit .202 with the big league club and did that over 57 games with the Mets.
You might remember it. He kind of got banished to AAA.
Yeah.
He ran afoul of the front office and of Terry Collins. And when they sent him to AAA, they basically left him there and played with Omar Quintanilla at shortstop.
And that's up high from Harang. 3 balls, no strikes. Tejada's still a young man, though. He's 24. He's very talented. That's hoping he can get his act together and improve on a disappointing year in New York last year. 3 balls and a strike.
If you're looking at the Mets and you're trying to figure out when is their time, and you see some of their prospects, you got Noah Syndergaard, and of course they made some trades to get young pitching. Zach Wheeler, and of course Harvey. I think they're a few position players away from getting to that point. They're a team in transition. They got a superstar at third, and it seems like the last 2 or 3 years they've just tried to plug in guys. Guys that were having okay years go somewhere else. Like Marlon Byrd comes to mind, and I think they're trying to find and groom some young talent and get them ready so that they can make this push with their young pitching.
Makes you wonder how much the Madoff situation really affected the Mets' present and future. Payroll really shrank the last couple of years as Bartolo Colon will try to bunt. They had an awful time filling their outfield last year. They had a finder and a keeper in Juan Lagares. They got Young from the Rockies to lead off and play left, and they got Curtis Granderson to hopefully add some power this year. But the Dendeckers and the Neuenhuises, the Lucas Dudas of the world just didn't cut it last season at Citi Field.
It really wasn't until they called up Lagares, who's been very impressive defensively in center field, that they really had somebody they could plug in there every day and know that he's going to be in that spot in the outfield.
And typically you see what even the Braves are doing, as Bartolo being in the American League last year shows that bunting was not something they worked on.
Well, he couldn't quite keep his hind pockets in there. They were just kind of falling away from plate, and when that starts falling away from the plate, it's hard to stop.
But the Braves, with the new stadium looming and the changes that they're going to make, you see them tying up some of the young core players so that it secures in a couple years. A new stadium only lasts so long, and when the Mets built their new stadium, and you could see some of the direction, the excitement of it just didn't work, and the new stadium will wear off here in a year or two, and they're going to have to put that product on the field that they so desperately want to compete again.
Eric Young singled, stole a base, and was stranded in New York's first inning.
Because everybody I talked to loved the Braves Mets kind of. We really didn't have a rivalry, after the divisional change with the Dodgers and what we did in '91. It really kind of morphed into the Braves and the Mets, and that battle at Shea Stadium. They were always fun to go there, and those fans were incredible. When you think about a home field advantage, they had a nice fan base that treated you brutally.
Before you threw a complete pity party for these guys, and I realize they're really short on position players. And the injuries have really taken their toll on their pitching staff. But these guys finished in 3rd place in the division.
Right.
Now, granted, that was 22 games out, but they played great baseball on the road. They were 41-40 away from Citi Field, and they won 74 ball games last year. That's not that far from taking the next step. But I agree 100% with you, John. There are a couple of everyday guys to complement David Wright and to give him some protection away from actually being a contender, in my opinion.
Yeah. And losing Harvey hurts. They also lost their closer, Bobby Parnell. And there was talk in spring training, guys, about, at least from Terry Collins, hey, we think this team can maybe win 90 games this year. That would be a 16-game improvement, as Joe mentioned. But how huge would it be for the collective psyche of the Mets and their fans to get to 81 or more?
I think that'd be huge this year. I mean, I kind of saw where he was going with some of the young talent if they stayed healthy. And, you know, injuries are part of the game, but you can't afford, like they couldn't afford Harvey to get hurt. That was just, he was everybody's want-to-see, must-see TV when he was out there. And I know he'll be back, and he's guaranteed that he's going to throw at some point this year. But when you start thinking about a Wheeler, a Harvey, Syndergaard type rotation, you start thinking fearfully of that team, and that's the key to success in this league. You got to have some fear factor in your ball club.
Murphy drives one toward right. Long run for Jason. He says he's got it, and he does. Tagging is Tejada. He'll move from 2nd to 3rd, and that's the 2nd out of the inning. And I think you make a good point. Look at how the Braves are winning so far this year. They're not hitting much, but when your pitching staff gives up a maximum of 2 runs per game, you're going to win 4 out of every 6 more often than not.
And you're catching the ball. You're playing good defense.
And I think the fear factor of the Braves has been well documented the last couple of years. Their starting staff has been under the radar. Collectively, they do a great job. But their bullpen has been the fear of, we don't want to get into the 8th, 9th inning with these guys. They've got some flamethrowers down there. And, of course, Kimbrel, arguably one of the best in the game now that Rivera has retired. So that's what you got to have. You got to have certain edges that a team goes, I can't afford to get there. You play a shorter game. There's everybody in the league plays a shorter game against the Atlanta Braves. Now you have to catch the ball and you have to hit a little bit. But that's what every team would love to have. One facet where it says game over or tougher.
Young is running. The throw from Gaddis is late. And Young has a couple of steals tonight. Now David Wright has runners at 2nd and 3rd. First base open with 2 outs now in a scoreless game.
I'll tell you why I don't like this.
I don't either.
If I'm a pitcher, you did me a favor.
Yep.
Now you got a base open with 2 outs, and there's no real reason to pitch to David Wright. Now, no one wants to pitch to the bases loaded, but what would you rather pitch against? A guy like David Wright or a guy that can strike out and behind him in Granderson? So I know what they're trying to do, trying to get 2 runs on a base hit and create havoc, but I would have liked to see him stay there if I'm David Wright.
Well, they gave good money to Curtis Granderson to come in here and at least give them a name, and certainly coming across town from the Yankees, that has a lot of merit with the Mets. However, I don't think they brought him in here to bat cleanup.
Right.
You know, top of the order maybe, but not cleanup. And with all due respect to Curtis, there's no way I'd let David Wright have anything to hit here.
Count is 0-2 with 2 out. Stop by Evan. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
It's funny how it affects you mentally as a hitter. You got 1st and 3rd here. You feel like they've got a pitch to you, and you're probably going to get a good pitch to hit. By Young stealing, now he knows they would pitch around him, and you might have a tendency to expand your strike zone and try to get a hit on a pitch that wasn't a strike and get yourself in trouble.
So after 2 quick strikes, good call, fellas. A slider off the plate, and then a pitch down and into David Wright. Nowhere close. It's 2-2.
David's maturation to not only being a star in this league, his patience has gotten a lot better, because he did there for a while try to do too much. They needed him on the field. I know he tried to play with that broken back at one point, and he at least now lets the game come to him and takes what it takes.
That one got away from Gaddis. Streaking home and scoring will be Tejada. So Harang didn't want to throw a strike to Wright. He throws the ball in the dirt, and that costs him the game's first run. It's 1-0 on a wild pitch.
Yeah, this is just trying to force too many pitches out of the zone. They haven't come close on 0-2. Now you've got him in a defensive count and still kind of approaching him, like we said, Joe, in a pitch we don't have to get anything close to, and that one resulted.
Fly ball center. DJ's looking for it still. Then he finds it, and he makes the play to retire the side. A couple of walks and a wild pitch leads to the game's first run.
The 2014 season against the New York Mets, trailing 1-0, and the man of the hour joining us now, the home run king, Henry Aaron. Mr. Aaron, what a night. I mean, it's incredible for me to be a part of it and just to witness it. What's it been like for you having so many teammates around to help celebrate this event with you?
Well, I think this has been wonderful, really to see so many teammates. As you mentioned, most of them I haven't seen for a long time, but most of them, remember the clubhouses that we had that when I walked out of playing a game, there was maybe 15, 20 sports writers in the clubhouse. There was a lot of things that, that people just don't really have any idea that what happened in the clubhouse.
That's something a lot of people will never know, but of all the people at the stadium and the writers that discussed that night 40 years ago, one of the things they discussed was all the pomp and circumstance around, the balloons, the majorettes, the bands, the celebrities that were here. Did that add any pressure, the fact that this was this big celebration for the home opener?
Well, if you're speaking about tonight, tonight was something very special. To have the Atlanta Braves and to have all of your teammates and even your wife, and they have all of these people, Tom House, and you can go on down the line, name all these great people who was here tonight. It makes me feel very special, really.
And how about Al Downing wanting to be a part of tonight?
Well, I talked to Al. I saw him in New York, and he told me that anytime anything happening that pertaining to me, he would be part of it.
40 years ago tonight, just across the parking lot, you made history. I know you've been asked about it 1,000 times, but is there one memory from that night that has stuck with you all this time?
I think that the average person really don't really understand what really happened, really. The late Maynard Jackson, who was our mayor at the time, had put 2 detectives to follow me around, because I was getting so many vicious letters. And I'm not saying the letters were coming from anywhere, but they were just coming,
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to open any letters. I wasn't allowed to do anything other than just enjoy myself, really. And he had somebody to come and just follow me around, really. And the person's name was Calvin Watlow. He's no longer with us. He died. In fact, I went to his funeral about 7 or 8 years ago. No, I'm sorry. It must have been 7 or 8 months ago that I went to his funeral. But he was with me for about 2.5 years.
As the bodyguard?
Yes, as a bodyguard.
And then of all the things that occur, when you hit the home run, you get two teenagers run on the field. Was there any malice in your mind when those guys ran on the field with you?
None whatsoever. I knew they was there to have fun. They were there because they wanted to say that if anything happened, that they were going to be part of it. They had no malice whatsoever in their heart.
Commissioner Bud Selig's here tonight. Your days with him go way back to Milwaukee. What do you think about the job he's done as he nears retirement?
I think he's done a wonderful job. I think the commissioner has done a great job. He's thinking about retiring. I've been knowing the commissioner for a long time. Knew him even before he was commissioner of baseball, even before he owned the Milwaukee Brewers. I knew his mother. I knew his father. I knew all of them. We went to baseball games together. He's always, but the one thing that you could say about the commissioner, he's always been a baseball fan. Always been a baseball fan, and always looking out for the well-being of baseball.
I know he appreciates being here tonight, and I know Freddie Gonzalez and his team appreciate not only being a part of it, but as he said before the game, having you around to counsel players when you're called upon and when you're asked to do so. Thanks so much. Congratulations. Thanks for letting us crash the party.
Thank you very much.
All right, Chip, back to you guys in the booth.
Thank you, Tom. Freddie Freeman, the hitter, with B.J. Upton at first. 2 outs, 1-0. The Mets have a third-inning lead.
Bloom's got a quick move to first.
Low and away, 1 ball, no strikes. How about this kid's eye, John, at such a young major league age?
Well, what I love about him, even though he likes to swing, he changes his approach with 2 strikes. He finds a way with those emergency hacks and choking up. And look, you don't see many guys choke up on the bat anymore. He's got such a unique stroke it's unique to him that he drives a pitcher crazy because he goes gap to gap. And I think that's the biggest leverage that he has. And everyone felt someday he's going to win a batting title. And this is a guy that's going to hit 30 home runs and hit for high average. It's the reason why they locked him up.
Great plate coverage.
Smash to first, and Lucas Duda is there, and that retires the side. No runs, a hit, a man left. Mets 1, Braves nothing after 3. Tonight, it's 1-0. New York in front. Tuesday night, Atlanta Braves baseball is presented by your Atlanta area Mazda dealers. Joe Simpson, John Smoltz, Tom Hart, the rest of our great Fox Sports crew with you on opening night tonight in Atlanta. The home debut for Braves right-hander Aaron Harang.
Well, after an absolutely crummy day yesterday where it just rained all day long, it has turned up a beaut tonight for the home opener. It's supposed to be good all week.
It's a good night to pitch. I know the wind was blowing in pretty well during BP. I'm sure the pitchers take notice of that and how they're going to. It changes your approach when you can throw more fastballs and let guys hit fly balls and they don't go quite as far.
So this is Curtis Granderson starting the fourth for the Mets. Granderson lined out to Freeman to end the first inning. And he's now behind in the count, a ball on 2 strikes. Granderson had some very big years over in the American League. The Tigers and Yankees, of course. And back-to-back seasons in the Bronx of over 40 homers and over 106 RBIs. That was in 2011 and 12. Last year played just 61 games.
If there's anyone built for a park, it was him. You know, they talk about Fenway hitters and what guys would benefit. He was built for Yankee Stadium, and he sure did show why with the power numbers.
Aaron's having control trouble tonight. That's his 3rd walk in 3+ innings.
He only walked 1 in that start against Milwaukee. Having trouble getting the ball down.
Yeah, mechanically, we talked about in the beginning how it seems fluid when he's playing catch with the catcher. He's going downhill. Sometimes if he floats, if that's the word I could use, it gets underneath the fastball and it's more flat than it has that late movement. And a couple times you could tell that the rhythm of his fastball wasn't quite the rhythm he had in Milwaukee.
So Granderson at first for Lucas Duda, who, fellas, apparently is going to be the everyday first baseman for the Mets. As soon as they named Duda the first baseman, Ike Davis has come off the bench with a couple of big hits of late for New York, including a pinch hit walk-off grand slam the other day.
But Duda hit 2 homers in a game 2 after he was named the starting first baseman.
1 ball, no strikes. And Duda skies 1 foul, even count. I guess some in baseball were surprised that the Mets didn't trade Ike Davis in the offseason. They apparently tried to do so. But with Young, with Lagares, with Granderson, with Chris Young, and Lucas Duda, it's a pretty crowded outfield situation for New York. So Davis relegated to the bench. They've got Duda's bat in there every day at first.
With respect to Ike Davis, though, that might have been one of those deals where he's more valuable to the Mets than he would be to anybody else. And whatever the asking price was, they just weren't willing to let him go off the scrap heap.
Runner goes, pitch popped up. Chris Johnson foul ground over near the stands. Will not have a play. It's 3 runners deep, 2-2.
Duda always reminded me a little bit of Brian McCann. Kind of how he looks and stands up there. Of course, Brian now with crosstown team, the Yankees. He always expected more power numbers out of Duda. I'm sure the Mets did as well. See if he can produce that at the first base spot.
Really strong down and in.
That's the other question. How do you gauge power for a Mets offensive player when they play 81 games at Citi Field in New York? It's a big ballpark.
It's a big park that, and they did move him in a little bit, right?
Yep.
It's a big park that I think it's interesting when those things get built. Who do they ask what and how? I'm sure if you had to guess, the only people they asked were pitchers when they put that thing together, because the field and the fences were so far back that it actually had a reverse effect for a lot of their guys. You know, they moved it in, and obviously the numbers will be a little bit better. Home runs.
Again, 2-2 from Harang to Duda, and it's popped up. Middle of the diamond. Who wants it? Schwartz and foul ground, and
Gaddis backpedaling at the line in foul ground makes the play. And Duda pops out for the first out here in the top of the fourth.
I know in that consulting work that when this ballpark opened, with it being 390 to the right center field gap, Fred McGriff said that they only talked to you and Maddox about how the outfield was going to be configured.
Well, Maddox didn't even come into the equation because he rarely gave up fly balls, but they did consult me, and I'm glad that they listened because it's a fair ballpark.
See,
Fulton County, by the way, I gave up 51 more career home runs at the old stadium than I did here, so that was truly the launching pad. And fly ball pitchers, it was kind of a nightmare at times. The tunnels had that vacuum effect down the line back in the old stadium. I really think this is one of the best stadiums in all of baseball, and I've been around and now finally seen them all.
How does this one compare to the Sydney cricket grounds, John?
Wow, I tell you what, that was really an experience. I was going to bring my hat for you guys. Maybe next time I'll bring my Crocodile Dundee hat. I became an Aussie at birth there. I was an adopted Aussie. It was fantastic. The history, the stadium is one of the oldest stadiums in the world, and it looks brand new.
Really?
Obviously, the weather has something to do with that. It's kind of like the old Dodger Stadium and the old Shea Stadium at one point, but they have the same years, and you would never see that in the mileage that the stadium looked like. But what an incredible job. They did a slow motion of how they got that field ready. You would not know it wasn't a baseball field when you got there. And I told you guys earlier, one of the things that we take for granted watching this game. This game, some people say it's too slow. Over there, they're used to 5 and 6 hour matches in 5 days. But the one thing they really loved was foul balls. That was one thing they went nuts when a foul ball would be hit, because they never get a ball in the crowd based on their sport over there in cricket. So like that right there, ball in the crowd, they went nuts trying to get that foul ball. All in all, baseball had hit a home run over there. I know there was a lot of how could we be doing this from a player standpoint? A lot that goes into it. Long travel from Atlanta to there, 23 hours. It was obviously a little bit different for the West Coast teams leaving Arizona.
Runner goes, and Lagares smacks one back to the screen foul. We'll do it again. Mets did not have a stolen base coming into play tonight. They've got a couple already. And Granderson's trying to get in motion to extend the Mets 1-0 lead.
Yeah, and I don't think this has anything to do with Evan Gaddis. This has to do with Aaron Harang and getting good jumps on him.
It's one thing I noticed about this booth this year, and I'm sure you did it for one individual. It's a lot bigger. I felt that you guys going to be okay with Hall of Famer Tom Glavine now? I mean, I noticed he had the booth bigger for him this year. Everything will be all right.
There was an expansion project.
Oh, it's going to be fun though in July, isn't it, to see him and Greg and Bobby all go in. So,
are you going?
I am going.
Good.
I hope I'm working for the network that weekend.
Good.
I hope I'm doing some work on behalf of them. But
well, you're not far behind, my friend. Hopefully, your call to Cooperstown will come too.
I was just going to say, be careful. Paybacks can be.
I know. Then the booth's really got to get big.
Yeah. Popped up behind second, and Oakland drifts back, and he'll make the play in shallow right. Lagares pops out, and that's out number 2. Here's d'Arnaud, the catcher. The Mets catcher, Terry Collins said in the papers today, is going to be a big part of this New York offense. Right now, it's a big empty hole. He doesn't have a hit yet.
It's amazing the first 10 days of the season and how quickly, you get off to a good start or a bad start, and jump off the wagon, jump on the wagon. Baseball really, you almost got to have 2 weeks before anything can be assessed one way or the other. That's what made Bobby so great. I remember Kelly Johnson coming up and starting, 1 for 40 or something like that. This game is a game of adjustments. A young catcher they have high hopes for, and I'm sure he's.
And there it is. His first base hit comes on an 0-1 pitch. So d'Arnaud doesn't have to worry about Phil Linz anymore. He has the all-time Mets hitless record to start a season.
What was the record?
It was, if I can find it, I think it was 0 for 26.
d'Arnaud looks trimmer to me this year. than when he got called up last year. I thought he was kind of stocky looking last season.
Well, they expect big things out of that trade. You know, the package they got for R.A. Dickey certainly is the future for this organization when they decided to part ways with a Cy Young Award winner.
Noah Syndergaard and d'Arnaud, the two centerpieces of that deal with Toronto. Now Tejada hits with 2 on and 2 out. 1-0 Mets. Another pitch ripped back to the screen, foul, strike 1. New season, but same story between the Braves and Mets. We told you about how tightly contested this season series was between these two clubs in the East last year. The Braves won 10 of the 19 games head to head. Good stop by Gaddis.
And I'm telling you, the stop, well, the one that got by him for the wild pitch that scored the run, it was almost an impossible pitch to block because, like this one, it bounced so far out in front of home plate.
That being a breaking ball again, he's having a little trouble on his off-speed staying back and getting to that release point. You want to start that ball at about the hitter's knees or a little bit above and let it drop down. That ball never got anywhere close to having an effect. Always felt fastball, you can get away with bad mechanics a little bit. You can overpower it. You can throw it, you know, in the zone and get away with it. But off-speed pitches, you really got to be able to land firm and have that release point be consistent, because that's the pitch you got to get over in this league to be obviously to win a baseball game consistently.
Popped up, foul ground. Freeman long run near the tarp, near the stands, and Freddie and Jason Hayward won't have a play. Do it again, 2-2.
Plus, anybody that's paying attention over in the dugout, hitter wise, will notice right away, fellas, he's having trouble getting that curveball over. He's bouncing it a lot, so you just kind of take it out of any consideration.
Anderson walked to start the inning. Travis d'Arnaud's first hit of the season with 2 outs. Miguel Tejada with the deuces wild. Digs in again against Harang. He's the man that scored the game's first run. At the knees, strike 3. Tejada couldn't swing. Perfect pitch from Aaron Harang. Strike 3 to Ruben Tejada sends this game to the 4th. Chris Johnson leads things off for the Braves.
The walk's the only difference in the ball game right now, and that's what got Aaron Harang in some problems in the 3rd inning. 2 walks in the inning, and And ultimately, a wild pitch got one of them home.
So this big crowd in Atlanta hopes for a bottom of the fourth inning rally against Bartolo Colon, who has never lost to the Braves. He's 3-0 in his major league career.
He hasn't. The hitters haven't made him adjust anything. He's been able to throw his fastball pretty much where he wants to. Hasn't had to throw many, if any, off-speed pitches. So he's painting and throwing the fastball, in some cases by the hitters, and in most cases to the spot of the catcher's glove.
Chris flied out to right, that into the Braves' first inning tonight.
With his ability to locate low in the zone and the focus this year in Colorado on their pitchers trying to just pitch low in the zone, that's their new tactic at Coors Field. He might have been ideal for them.
Yeah, a little surprised. I know Oakland goes with a lot of theories, and he had an unbelievable year, but for them to not re-sign him after going 18-6 says something. But the Mets, again, trying to plug holes, trying to fill the void. See this guy as a 2-year starter in their rotation, signed with 2 years.
Let's face it, John, he's about to be 41. If he was going to be a free agent, he's going where the money is.
Yeah.
He didn't care. He's been with Cleveland, Montreal, the White Sox, the Angels, Boston, back to the White Sox, the Yankees, and then Oakland. He's got no loyalties anywhere. He's at the end of his career. He's going where the dollar signs were.
Defensive swing by Chris to stay alive. And as I said, 2-year, $20 million deal for Bartolo Colon, who signed with the Mets. You mentioned the early stops in his career, one of the great trades in all-time baseball history. Bartolo Colon was acquired by the Expos from the Cleveland Indians for Cliff Lee Stevens, Brandon Phillips, and Grady Sizemore in 2002. Back then, Colon was a mid-90s fastball guy. And that was a trade that really restocked the Cleveland franchise.
It's a lot of guys in the big leagues for one guy in a trade.
If you're around the zone for Chris Johnson, up or down, in or out, he's got a good chance of putting the ball in play on you.
Well, the unique thing about Bartolo, just because he doesn't have the secondary pitches that wow you, left-handers for the career 261, right-handers for the career 268. So it almost doesn't matter which hitter is up there. And every pitcher has a strong side, and there's usually a bigger gap opponent batting average wise, and he just basically has mastered the ability to throw a fastball that moves to the intended area that he wants to throw it.
This will be the 9th pitch he'll throw to Chris Johnson in the at-bat. And he'll see a 10th. You know, as a hitter, it's got to make you crazy, doesn't it? You know what's coming, and you still can't do an awful lot with it with Colon.
Well, you just know that you're going to get a good pitch to hit. And if you happen to foul it off, of course, Chris has fouled off 7 or 8 here. That's the frustrating part if you miss it, because you know you're going to probably get at least one good pitch to hit. He doesn't walk anybody to speak of.
Since doing this, since I retired, you look at a lot more numbers. Thank God I didn't look at these numbers when I was playing. I would have gone crazy. But the number that's amazing to me, in his 189 wins, 2.19 ERA. So obviously when he's good, he's really good. In his 129 losses, 7.01 ERA. Now I've not seen a gap that big looking at a lot of pitchers who have pitched as long as he has. So when he's not good, certainly the ERA shows that.
Chris skies one into center. Morris in the middle of the 5. 7:15 makes the grab, and Johnson flies out for a second time tonight. One down in the home 4th. Justin Upton flat out his first time. That led off the Braves' second.
This would be a matchup, I would think, when Justin Upton's right, would like that ball coming back over the plate. The way he extends and almost has that abbreviated follow through. When he's seeing the ball, this should be a bad matchup or a tough matchup for Bartolo.
He's a called strike.
He had a nice advantage tonight too, because the only guy in the lineup that had seen him before was B.J. Upton, who has one of the hits.
Bartolo spun his wheels as he delivered that pitch.
And that was 92. So when he wants to rear back and get a little extra, he can. He had thrown an 83 changeup to Chris during that 11 pitch at bat to Johnson. Mixing it up.
And again, we joke about the heft, but let's not forget he won 18 games, had a sub-3 ERA pitching in the American League last year. And this guy is a big man who's been around a long time and has been very, very successful. One ball, two strikes.
When you guys won the World Championship in '95, he was in the Indians organization and pitching an A-ball. He was in his third year actually in their organization in '95.
Yeah,
Cleveland.
I remember him in his heyday of four-seam more fastballs where he could throw it up by you at 97 miles an hour. He just knows how to pitch. His mechanics are simple. He kind of straight over the top. He comes and gets it. He had one bad month last year. He's 0-2 in August, 8.49 ERA. Everything else was pretty darn good. And followed it up in September with a 4-1. So for the A's, he was a big part of their rotation, blending in their young guys, their rising stars, the Grays, the young studs that are coming up. Sonny Gray, by the way, when he gets a few more innings under his belt.
You like him, huh?
Oh, man, what he did against Verlander in the playoffs last year was unbelievable. That atmosphere, young pitcher, controlled innings.
We'll see Oakland in August. Weekend series here at Turner Field. And a base hit for Justin Upton on a payoff pitch. So both the Uptons have hits tonight. BJ and Justin each with clean singles. And tying runs board for Braves second baseman Dan Uggla, who brings a modest 3-game hit streak into tonight's play.
You see enough of them, Joe, and this one, of course, comes back over the plate. And there's that abbreviated follow-through, which he was so known for last year in April with all those home runs to start the season.
Mets have been running tonight. Let's see if the Braves think about that with Justin at first. And grounded out to third his first time up. And he bounces one foul that way again.
I don't know if you saw Dan much during spring training, John, but his swing is much improved. I think his results are going to be much better.
Well,
so
I heard
he finds some holes. He's hit the ball sharply.
And I heard him talk about openly that when your head is moving, everything seems faster. Everything you can't hit if it's not still.
Right.
He went through the eye issue. He had a lot of components that going against you as a big league hitter. And it's not like this guy's career, he was lucky. I mean, he's set records. And I think he wants to get back to that. And mechanically, if he can solve that lateral movement of his head, certainly he'll be able to deliver the ball over the fence at a rate that everyone thought and was hoping for.
But not this time. Colon gets him on 3 pitches. And that's the 4th strikeout in the game. 2 outs.
People at home must be wondering how that can happen, how a player can go into a funk or all of a sudden not be able to do something. And, you know, it's like any other thing that you might do. When you create or feel something different, your body and mind, especially mechanically, whether it's a golf swing or swinging a bat or throwing a pitch, when you lose feel for something, you lose confidence. And when you lose confidence, it takes a little while to get it back. You try everything. You search. You look at video. You try a different hand stance and all kinds of different things. And the game can be cruel. And I'm a big believer that if you're healthy enough physically healthy, we will return back to what you're normally, that's on the back of your baseball card. Sometimes you find the experience where, they just get, they call it the monkey on the back. They can't get rid of it. They can't shake.
Fly ball center, another chance for Lagares, and he settles underneath. No runs, a hit, a man left. We are through 4. Bartolo Colon leads 1-0. On the right side of your screen, that countdown clock. No, that is not the countdown to John Smoltz's first broadcast booth joke of the year. But it's 21 minutes now from 9:07 Eastern Time. And the significance of 9:07 Eastern Time is this. At 9:07 Eastern Time on April 8th, 1974, that's when Hank Aaron homered off Al Downing and made baseball history.
If that is a joke countdown, I'd like to reset the clock.
Reset it to 21 days and 5 minutes. I don't blame you.
He's shown
really
remarkable restraint, though, so far, don't you think?
Yeah, it's opening day,
He's a new guy.
Oh, yeah. Heads up, foul ball. 2 strikes.
Oh, man. Every joke I told the last couple of years, my hair fell out. That was unbelievable.
The 1-2 pitch is over the outside corner. Colon. Well, let's just say I'm thinking his heart might have been in it, but I'm not sure. That's 5 strikeouts for Herman tonight.
You know what? Colon's having a great time. He struck out. He's kind of sauntering back to the dugout, flipping his bat against his leg. Sometimes out on the mound, he'll get a new baseball. He'll look at it and just kind of throw it up in the air like a little kid on the Little League field, just kind of playing catch with himself.
Well, one thing I know they're going to be working on is his bunting ability. So we can at least get that down.
Yeah.
This guy knows how to bunt. Eric Young. He's walked, he's singled, he's stolen 2 bags. Mentioned 46 steals for Eric last year. 30 of them came after the All-Star break. A couple of teams in our division, Eric Young has been the wrong guy at the wrong time. We all know about Tim Hudson and his freak injury in New York last year. Young nearly took out Bryce Harper in a season opening series in New York this year on play at second base. And Young swung at a ball in the dirt. Gaddis will make the play at first, And Harang has 3 strikeouts in a row and now 6 in total in the game.
I'll tell you, he's been battling, Joe, and finally got an off-speed pitch over that made it look like a strike, even though it bounced.
Just had a little height to it and too close to take until it got right at the plate for Young.
Daniel Murphy. Strike 1 to him.
This poor guy took a beating in New York.
Yeah, I felt bad for him.
For taking the paternity leave and spending all 3 days in the birth of his child and a couple of the new radio stations. Didn't think it should take that long, and obviously everything's magnified in New York.
Yeah, I thought those guys were out of line. Can't see that it was really any of their business.
Murphy skies 1 foul, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
If you didn't hear the story, players have the ability to take a paternity leave for the birth of a child and get 2 days, because some of the guys have to fly from coast to coast to be with their family, be with their wife. And the radio experts took exception to the fact that he took 2 days instead of just 1.
Nice inning for Harang. He strikes out the side in the 5th.
Power. The Home Depot. Zaxby's. And Mazda.
It's 1-0 Mets lead, bottom of the 5th inning. It's now time for you to tweet your photo using hashtag BravesFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming broadcast. That's brought to you by AT&T.
How about that opening day hat?
To David Wright at 3rd on the first pitch. He makes the play for out number 1. Simmons 0 for 2. Here's Harang.
As well as the Braves pitched on that road trip, John, having an ERA that was 1.56. The offense didn't do a whole lot. They scored 15 runs in 6 games, and 11 of those came in 2 games. So they got to get a few more guys on base. And other than the 1 game in Washington where I think they went 5 for 11 with runners in scoring position, that was a problem too, that statistic.
And that's the thing we talk about, you know, is if you're an opposing pitcher facing the Braves lineup, until they make you do some different things, until they put some fear in what kind of pitches you throw, or runners on, or the fact that you got to go station to station, you're going to have more than 1.5 guys hot in a lineup. So that is going to certainly have to be better as the year progresses.
Harang puts it in play right for first in time. 2 outs. So excluding that 5 for 11 runners in scoring position effort against the Nationals. For the rest of the season so far, the Braves are 2 for 28.
Yeah, that's not going to get it done.
Like I said, leaving spring training, ideally, you'd like everybody to be in their mode. They're swinging, seeing the ball good. It just doesn't always work. Certain guys start out hot. Certain guys take a while. The guy that always comes to mind is Teixeira. His track record over years. He's just had horrible Aprils, but his numbers at the end of the year, comparative, would be right where they need to be.
Here's one of the cold Brave hitters right now. Jason is 0 for his last 19.
Yeah, and he had a good spring. Just can't quantify numbers in spring training, good or bad, and how they will relate to numbers in the regular season.
To the right side, Murphy to his left. Fields cleanly, and Colon gets 3 ground ball outs and has a very easy bottom half of the 5th inning. He needed just 7 pitches. Jackpot. It's 1-0 Mets in front as we head to the 6th inning. Speaking of jackpots, here's our Georgia Lottery hitting the jackpot. As we've mentioned, the Braves pitching so far this year has been outstandingly good.
How about that? Only the 5th team since 1900 to do that.
I saw that earlier today. I'm surprised by that, actually. That's pretty impressive. 6 games. I thought we did that. It's not.
Wright, Granderson, and Duda in the Mets 6th. David has an 0 for 2 game working. Hitless in his last 9 trips. Fellas, a team to keep an eye on this year in the National League might be Milwaukee. They swept the Red Sox, and they went into Philadelphia today and walloped the Phillies 10-4. That's only part of the story, though, as Wright is rung up for strike 2. Ryan Braun, bad thumb, Boo Birds in Philly. 3 homers, 7 RBIs today.
Goodness.
And Wright is down swinging. Orang's got the strikeout pitch working. That's 5 straight Mets struck out.
Again, great depth here on the breaking ball. Starts close enough. The fastball sets it up. He starts the breaking ball at the height of the last fastball, which to a hitter looks like it could be another fastball. He has to make that decision really quickly. Then he got another K. That sinker that he has, and I talked about the rhythm of pitching for Aaron Harang. You can tell by the way he grabs the ball the last inning and a half, 2 innings, he's in better rhythm with all of his pitches.
Doesn't seem, fellows, like he's throwing many breaking balls either after he had trouble with that pitch the first couple of innings tonight.
And a couple that he's thrown have been just good enough to get swings and misses. Wow, where was that pitch?
Three and one to Granderson. Dangerous pitch. And he lost him. Fourth walk to go with 8 strikeouts. Here's Duda. He's popped out to Gaddis twice. Nationals lead the Marlins. That's 2-0 in the 6th inning. Henderson Alvarez and Gio Gonzalez are hooked up there. The Marlins have all kinds of trouble winning in Washington. They've lost 15 of the last 19 games at Nationals Park. And trailing tonight.
Schlosser has begun to throw in the Atlanta bullpen.
See if Duda can hit the ball on the ground to somebody. That time high, 1 ball, no strikes. We'll see the Nationals here this weekend. Ryan Zimmerman not in the lineup tonight. Arthritic shoulder. Chance that you'll see him playing first base more than third base for the Washington Nationals. He injured that shoulder against the Braves last weekend.
I know that term all too well. Arthritic shoulder is not a lot of fun, and you can see why throwing the ball from third to first and the different angles he's trying to do to release pressure from it hurting. It's awful painful to look at, and I'm sure he's dealt with the amount of pain that you can deal with. And there's not a whole lot of things you can change. You can't reverse arthritis.
They need his bat, needless to say. And if they make a move to say, okay, he's going to have to play first base, he just can't play third base anymore, then they've got a nice piece to offer somebody in Adam LaRoche if they want to make a deal and get some more depth on their ball club.
Duda takes low, 2 balls and a strike. The scary thing for the Washington club is this is the first year of Zimmerman's big contract extension. 6 years, $100 million has begun for the Nationals third baseman.
You know, it's amazing too how many routine plays ended up costing them games by an errant throw that either led to a rally or the winning or go ahead run would come in. And I agree with you guys. I mean, his bat is so important, but they got to find a place.
Fly ball pretty well hit toward left, but playable for Upton. Justin makes the grab. Duda flies out. He's 0 for 3. 2 outs in the 6th.
You know, I think about this division and everyone's trying to put win totals on teams, what they can attain, what they can't. A lot of it's going to depend on the Mets, the Phillies, and the Marlins. Which team are you going to get? Which team with the Phillies? Is it the aging team that has their health and they're moving in the right direction, or is it the teeter-totter effect? They start dumping some of those players. I think the Marlins are going to be better just because another year with their arms. So it really comes down to the Mets. Who takes advantage of who? And we were documented last year. The Braves had such a tough time with the Mets.
Yeah, and I think the Marlins signed some guys that will be a much better influence on their young players. Guys like Reed Johnson, who was with Atlanta for the last couple of years. Jared Saltalamacchia.
Casey McGee's already in double digits in RBIs. He's playing third base for the Marlins. He spent last year in Japan. He had a big year or two with Milwaukee a couple of years ago.
And how many times do you avoid Jose Fernandez? Yeah, because he is the elite crop of young pitchers that will be flirting with Cy Youngs from here on out.
We get the Marlins in Atlanta the 21st of this month before ending the month of April down in South Florida.
remember it always, maybe it was, and you're playing, you don't pay attention to the schedule, but a lot of quick turnarounds early on with home and away. You play the Nationals, turn around, come back the following weekend, play the Nationals. Maybe now, because interleague happens every day, there's been more of that happening.
Here's another weird thing.
And that means you're going to get the same pitchers more than likely.
Correct.
And that's tough.
Braves are done with Milwaukee and St. Louis by the middle of May. We opened in Milwaukee. We've got the Brewers here 19th, 20th, and 21st. We got home and home with the Cardinals 5th through the 7th. And then the 16th, 17th, and 18th of May. And then we're done with those two National League Central clubs.
I know I personally hated it. Being a pitcher to face the same team within 10, your 2 starts, I didn't like it. Because what do? If you had a good game or if you had a bad game, do you change anything? Do you, you're seeing those guys.
Runner goes, pitch high. The Gaddis throw equally high, but the tag applied late. Simmons thought he tagged Granderson on the back pocket on the way by. But the Mets have their 3rd stolen base of the game, and it comes with 2 outs.
Evan got a good pitch to throw on here, and he's, I think, almost too rested because he's awfully strong tonight, missing high with his throws. But I still contend that even though after all those throws over, Harang was a little slow to the plate.
Lagares looks outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, the Mets have had leads in every game they've played so far. So this fits the mold of what they've usually played.
But as an old friend of ours used to say, John, they have to go down there, and there being their bullpen, which is an awful lot of problems the first 2 series of the year.
And it's been a rough start, and certainly got rougher when they found out their closer, hard throwing Parnell, is going to be gone. And now they're just having to mix and match with an array of pitchers to try and get it done.
Wow, how did Lagares put that ball in play? Foul. It was scorched into the seats, and he's still alive, 2-2. Swing and a miss. Lagares is down on strikes. 9 strikeouts for Harang in a 1-run game. follows the script. You see the countdown clock ticking down to the final seconds, where exactly 40 years ago this SunTrust shining moment happened.
1 ball and no strikes. Aaron waiting. The outfield deep and straight away. Fastball is a high drive into deep left center field. Buckner goes back to the fence. It is gone.
Great call. You don't get to hear the Vin Scully call very often, but that's a great one. Kurt Gowdy also an outstanding call for NBC.
Sharply hit by B.J. Upton on the first pitch. Goes to short. 1 man down. If you go back, and you can do it on YouTube, they've got Vin Scully's call on there. The amazing thing about it is, after Henry hits the home run and Vin makes his call, he doesn't say a word for 2 minutes. He was on radio. You hear the fireworks booming in the background. The old story was that he took off his headset, went to the back of the booth, got a cup of coffee, put some cream and sugar in, stirred, just watched the scene, and then went and back and sat down and put the headset on and continued his commentary.
Well, that would probably refer to the term of layout.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the first time I heard layout. I looked at Joe Simpson. He didn't say anything. I looked at Brian Anderson. He didn't say anything, so I figured it was safe to not say anything. I didn't know what it meant. No one told me the term layout. What did that mean?
Freddie Freeman fouls one back. For you at home, layout means, to the announcers, that's a polite way of saying,
be quiet.
Shut up. Joe, where were you when Henry hit the home run?
I was actually in Dodgertown, spring training, the minor leagues, and watching it on TV.
Ball at a strike for Freeman. High fly to left, but playable for Young. He's going to have room, and he'll make the catch. But that's out number 2. You saw in those great highlights, 2 young gentlemen joined Henry Aaron on the field as he made his trip around the bases, and Tom Hart has more on that.
Yeah, Chip, Cliff Courtney and the late Britt Gaston decided to jump out of the stands in the first base side to go around the bases with Mr. Aaron. I talked with Cliff today. He's at the ballpark. I said, how early did you plan this? And he said, well, there was a lot of trash talk with our teenage friends in the stands before he came to the plate. We committed to it, so we just had to jump over the tarp to do so. Their dad bailed him out for $100. He got in front of a friendly judge who essentially said, boys, if I don't see you for another 6 months, we'll call it even. Now, the scary part, he said, is that the policeman here in Atlanta took him downtown, put him in the clink for the night, and watched with wide-eyed wonder as all the other roughnecks in town got put in that cell overnight. So they let the kids sweat a little bit before taking him before the judge the next day. Cliff did mention that he did not make it to another game in 1974, probably both to appease the judge and the Braves.
Good idea.
In the air to center, Lagares got a good jump, but not good enough. Chris Johnson with a 2-0 count extends his hit streak to 7 games.
Although twice today I heard Hank, when asked about that with those kids running on the field, if it bothered him, if it scared him a little bit, and he said, no, they were just a couple of kids out having fun. They were just having fun.
You can imagine the tension, though, from the security guards trying to anticipate if that was just a fun moment or one that could have gotten crazy.
Especially with some of the letters that were written in advance of that home run threatening Hank.
So Johnson with a hit brings the potential go-ahead run to the plate. Who better than Justin Upton to turn this game around? It's 1-0 Mets. Braves have 5 hits in the game. New York has only 2. And a wild pitch is the only way Ruben Tejada was able to score the game's lone run back in the top of the 3rd. 4 strikeouts, no walks for Bartolo Colon tonight. The Braves have left 4 men on base so far in the game.
You see from the center field camera how Colon kind of short arms the ball to home plate, which adds towards the deception of his sinker and fastball. He gets his arm. It doesn't have a full swing like a lot of pitchers, and it really aids his success. The hitter doesn't really see it like a traditional pitcher. You'll see here it's just a quick action out of the glove, almost a pickup over the top. Here you go.
Fly ball, well hit left center. Lagares says he's got it, and he does. Upton just missed. Braves are out of luck in the 6th, and we head to the 7th. Still 1-0 New York. Give up 2 hits, but that's the fate so far of Aaron Harang. He's our great clip of the game tonight.
Mixed his pitches well, John, and were it not for the walks got him in trouble, 4 in all, but the run that scored reached on a walk and eventually scored on a wild pitch. But man, otherwise 9 strikeouts.
Yeah, he was stingy. And now for the Braves, Gus Schlosser going to come in, and I'll tell you what, funky mechanics, sidearm, sweep slider, and he has a firm fastball, the ball that's going to sink in towards a right-hander. He seems to have solid mechanics. You'll see that the right-hander should have some problems with his delivery.
This guy's never really relieved before, John, so that's quite an adjustment too at this level.
He's got Travis d'Arnaud, Tejada, and then Bartolo Colon scheduled in the 7th. 1-0 New York. Schlosser had a very impressive spring, averaged about a strikeout per inning, and a 2.03, I beg your pardon, earned run average down in Central Florida. Tonight he's in his 4th big league game. d'Arnaud skies 1 foul and out of play. He's behind now. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
You know, you think about a bullpen, you want to have your power guy at the end, your guy that's the intimidator closer. You want a left-hander that can get left-handers out, certainly a right-hander. And then you need a guy that can mix it up and get a ground ball every once in a while. And this could be that guy if he continues to sink the ball. Not that it's automatic that a sidearm pitcher always gets ground balls, but to get a double play or to get a big out, I'm sure they're going to test him and see how he does in those situations.
Bobby was always able to find that guy, it seemed like, in spring training sometimes. a guy that hadn't been with the club before.
That ball in shallow left center. BJ and Justin couldn't catch it, and d'Arnaud dives in safely at second. It seemed to hang in the air forever. Justin came a long way over from left field. BJ stopped right in the middle of the 7, and the ball dropped safely for a leadoff hit.
And the wind's pushing the ball away from Justin. He had way too far to go for this.
Yeah, the only thing you can think of without knowing is that he may or may not have been calling it first to cause BJ to stop, because that was more of a center fielder's ball.
Yeah, if you're aggressive in center field, and even if the other guy calls it first, if you start calling it, he's got to get out of the way. You still keep coming.
So that's double all the way for d'Arnaud. He's 2 for 3 after enduring a hitless first week. Now Tejada will try to get the ball to the right side and get d'Arnaud to third base. He's walked, struck out, and they scored the only run.
Look at that double. BJ was a little over on the right center field side of second base. He must have heard him call for it and backed off.
Line drive into right center field. That's going to drop for a hit. Here comes d'Arnaud around third. There'll be no play at the plate. A double and a single back-to-back extends the Mets lead. It's 2-0.
It's just a bad break for Schlosser, because you come into a game and you give up routinely a fly ball that traditionally would be caught, ends up being a double, and then you're facing the heat hitter with the pitcher on deck. You have a chance to wiggle your way out of it, and the 8th hitter gets that hit to right field.
Now Colon will try to bunt and takes low. 1 ball, no strikes.
And sometimes in the case of Tejada, you get lucky just trying to do the right thing, just trying to move the runner over. That's one off the end of the bat for an RBI. I think you could help Colon in the bunting side, John.
Yeah, this is bunting 101 for a pitcher, but he hasn't been able to do that most of his career, being in the American League quite a bit.
Hey, got that one down. And Schlosser will have only 1 play. Perfect sacrifice for Bartolo Colon.
In that case, it would have been nice to see him sweep his slider and get him reaching already for a bunt, make it tougher on the pitcher.
So Young and Murphy are scheduled, and that'll be the end of the line for Gus Schlosser. Bad break for him to start the 7th. He gives up a run on a couple of hits. The man at second base, his responsibility too. And one out. Want to thank our friends at Delta Airlines, Mac Honey, and our great flight crew for getting us home safely from Washington, D.C. this past Sunday. Always a treat to fly with them. And our friends at Delta Airlines, proud sponsors of the Atlanta Braves. While we have a moment, let's revisit our AT&T Uverse trivia question. Off what Hall of Fame pitcher did Henry Aaron hit most of his career home runs?
I'm going to stick with Drysdale.
I'm going to go with Bob Gibson.
Okay, I think the answer is Don Drysdale, so let's see if we're right.
Only because I said Don Drysdale to piggyback you, and I didn't want to be known for that.
So, no, we got to spread it out so we just have a better chance to win, so that was a good move on your part. Veteran move.
So it was indeed Don Drysdale. As Eric Young will turn around and hit right-handed against Luis Avilan. Third pitcher of the night for the Braves. Second in relief.
I tell you, this kid's got a tremendous fastball and he loves it. He comes after the hitters, got great sink, great velocity on it. Been really a huge role the last year for this Brave staff, and expecting big things again this year.
A terrific final third of the season last year for Luis. After May 24th, an 0.95 ERA. The opposition hit 154 against him. And Young shoots one into right field. That's going to drop for a hit. Here comes Tejada around third. He's going to score. Hayward's throw to second will be in time to get Young. But he brings home Ruben Tejada with a single to make it 3-0 New York.
Boy, some more tough luck for the Braves pitchers, too. In this case, pretty good pitch here by Avilan. Might have been up a little bit, but just fought off into shallow right, and Jason Hayward with a really good throw to get him.
So single RBI for Young, and he's thrown out 9-6. Mo and Tejada have scored in the seventh. Bases are empty with 2 outs for Daniel Murphy. That's downstairs. 2 balls and a strike.
Mets on a kind of a tough road trip early in the year. They come here and then they go out west 4 times this year. Most of the teams in this division, because of interleague, will have to face an extra trip or 2 out there.
I call this their AAA road trip. At Atlanta, at Anaheim, and at Arizona. Here's what's up for the Mets. And a broken bat. Base hit up the middle. And Avilan came up gimpy. He might have injured a hamstring trying to avoid the barrel of the bat sailing by. Remember last year, Luis had some cramping in the hamstring and had to be carted off the field. He might have tweaked something falling off the mound toward the third base side of the diamond.
It's an awkward deal when you follow through trying to, knowing the baseball's coming back at you also, but also the bat. So the follow through was changed dramatically.
So with that hit, Murphy extends his hitting streak to 15 games dating back to last year. And let's see if Avilan will be able to continue.
Uh-oh, that wasn't good.
Nope, that answers that. So the injury bug, which plagued the Braves so severely in spring training, has bitten them on opening night in Atlanta. Avilan departs in the 7th. to get 3 outs, but that could be the fate of them in this 7th inning as Luis Avilan tumbled off the mound, avoiding the barrel of the bat, tried to throw one warm-up pitch and couldn't even deliver the baseball before walking off the field.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused. I mean, I know that typically when you can't reproduce anything to throw, you don't stick around in the dugout, but there he is sitting on the top step of the dugout. So one would speculate maybe not super serious, but maybe he heard me.
Yeah, he might have it. I couldn't tell if it was leg or hip related.
From my quick look, it had to be the back leg for where he was trying to drive to home, and it was either catching him and he just decided not to even throw the pitch as he tried to simulate another pitch.
So Anthony Vivaro makes his season debut tonight. You see how busy and effective Anthony was last year.
He had a rough spring training. Hopefully that doesn't correlate to a good start to this season.
David Wright takes a strike.
Yeah, and having not pitched in the first week of the season, I'm sure he's been doing some work in the bullpen. Not the same as facing live hitters.
Bouncing ball up the middle. Simmons gloves. Backhand flip is in time to retire Murphy and the Mets. The infield is lightning fast, and Simmons was able to run down that bouncing ball to end the top of the 7th. Opening night is always a special night here in Atlanta. You see the pregame ceremonies honoring Henry Aaron. Aaron Harang and Bartolo Colon were dueling through 6 innings. Only 1 run scored. And that came on a wild pitch before the Braves ran into some bullpen trouble in the 7th. And there you see the score at the moment. 3-0. The Mets lead at the 7th inning stretch. Bartolo Colon is pitching another beauty against the Braves tonight.
5-hit shutout working. And that 1 run didn't seem such a big deal, but 3 is going to be a lot. Got to get busy.
Really not doing much. I mean, when I say not doing much, not having to go to an arsenal of pitches, it's basically, here you go, guys. Here's a pitch away. Here's a pitch in. See what you can do. And his fastball command has had the better of the Braves offense, which we've already documented has started out the season pretty slow.
Braves have had a base runner in every inning except the 5th, but they've not had 2 base runners in any inning.
And here in the 7th, Ugla, Gaddis, and Andrelton Simmons, followed by the pitcher's spot, which is occupied at the moment by Anthony Bavaro. Friends, the Braves Summer Concert Series presented by Coca-Cola and Delta kicks off during Heritage Weekend, Saturday, May 3rd, with a free post-game concert by Kool and the Gang. You can even purchase a field pass for the show for only $25. Visit Braves.com/concerts today. Joe said it right. See if the Braves can get busy as the chop starts here in the home 7th. And Ugla is the first man up. He is 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Moon has 4 of those, but as we chronicled earlier, he doesn't walk many people and has not walked a soul tonight.
You were talking about his arm angle earlier, John, and understand I'm not casting aspersions here, but the fact that he's so round makes his arms look shorter.
Right.
And with the shorter arm look and the short arm delivery, the ball does come out kind of like a dart. Hard to pick up.
It is. It's like it's coming from behind his head.
And Dan Ugla strikes out swinging for the 2nd time tonight. 1 away in the 7th.
I've always said that the way he throws his lower half has to be pretty good, meaning he opens up quick and he delivers the baseball. And the only way you can do that is to have a firm front side without any other body part suffering. So he's been able to do this for the length of his career for a long time. And when he's on, we've already said, you know, he's on and he hits his spot. It's straight towards, like playing catch, straight towards the hitter. No wasted movement. You know, he pitches from the first base side of the rubber, and it's nothing crazy about it. You see how he comes in and he lands in a pretty good position.
He's ahead of Evan Gaddis, strike 1. And now 0-2 as that pitch fouled straight back.
A little surprised that 1 or 2 of the guys who can run a little bit haven't tried to bunt on him too, just to see how much he can move around off the mound.
'89 pitches for Bartolo into the 7th. And number 90 was way high. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
One of the keys I said was go the distance. He's in a position where he could go the distance. His pitch count's very manageable.
Bouncing ball to second. Murphy handles. And he makes the play. That's out number 2. Talked with Chris Johnson before the game about the infield. Grass is cut very short, and he said the dirt is packed very, very firmly. Very fast, very hard dirt surface. And that ball seemed to skip a bit on Murphy at second, but he hung with it for the second out.
Well, they're limited. You know, they can't, and people talk about it, you just really can't grow the grass you need to grow with the base and the Georgia clay, unlike Wrigley Field. And it seems like a forest of grass in the infield. You're just limited here what you can do, and so for the most part you have to adjust and play as almost it's like turf. I mean, the ball really does speed through the infield, which even makes more impressive the man at the plate, how many balls he gets to.
Like the one last inning, that was quite a play by Simmons to force Murphy at second and end the 7th inning.
Tip of the cap to Ed Mangan and his crew too. Not that anybody in the Midwest or the Northeast would feel sorry for people in Atlanta, but Atlanta did have a very harsh winter, and the field looks outstanding.
Simmons splits a gap in right center field. Granderson will cut it off, and he'll hold Andrelton to a long single. That pitch hammered sharply on an 0-2 count. And that will allow the Braves to go to their bench and call on Ryan Domit to hit for Anthony Bavaro.
Got that pitch up a little bit. That helped.
Yeah, one of the few pitches he got underneath, and it flattens out that sinker and makes it look a little bit more hittable than the ones he's been throwing. Anderson didn't try to do too much and went exactly where the ball was thrown, and 2-out magic maybe.
I think that's a great example, though, of how a guy throwing the speed he's throwing, that just the slightest mistake in elevation, and what a difference it makes for the hitter at this level.
Ryan Domit saw Cologne over in the American League. Ryan is 0 for 1 with a couple of walks in his career. He is 1 homer shy of 100. A long ball here would cut the Mets lead to a run.
You know, they say in pitching, your fingers are always on top of the ball, but when you don't deliver the ball with that extension on top, and you have an altered delivery, and you get on the side of the ball and get underneath it, that gives the revolution of the baseball not the same hop. So a hitter sees it better. When you're on top, it gives it that late life. That's what he's had tonight. Late life, late break.
Tejada at short, off the heel of his glove, and he'll have to put that in his pocket. Tejada bobbles a routine play at short, and the Braves bring the potential tying run to the plate now in the presence of Jason Hayward.
They may well charge him with an error, but he was not going to be able to go to second base because Murphy was playing so far in the hole. And even if he comes up with this ball cleanly, given he was going away from the infield, I don't know that he would have thrown Domit out.
So the Mets bullpen starts to work as the Braves threaten with 2 outs. First and second for Hayward. Down 3-0. It's an error on the shortstop.
Hayward needs something over the plate. Cologne has been pounding him away with really good fastballs. Might have been it. He made a mistake. He's been really away the whole night. Never shown him anything in. And he crossfired his fastball over the middle of the plate.
No balls and a strike.
His stance and as far as away he is from the plate, it sure looks inviting that you could just nibble the outside part of the plate. But when Hayward's going good, he reaches that.
Yeah, he likes to get his arms extended.
He's really got to protect now. 0-2. He rolls over to second. Murphy's got it, and the throw to first is in time, and that retires the side. Malone survives some 7th inning trouble with 2 outs and maintains his 3-0 lead. Let's take a look at our Zaxby's indescribably good play, and that was what took place before the game. That was really cool.
I love this part of the ceremony. They had fans dressed in number 44 jerseys, and everyone was holding a baseball with a number on it from 1 to 715 and the date that he hit that particular home run. That was really cool.
So a great job by the Braves and a wonderful pregame tribute for 80-year-old Henry Aaron tonight. Braves go deeper into their bullpen. Fourth reliever tonight, it's left-hander Ian Thomas. John, he's off to a terrific big league start.
Yeah, you know, he wants to make a good impression, and 6'4", 215, but he's got a really good changeup, good breaking ball, and hides the fastball pretty well.
So we've lost Luis Avilan tonight to an apparent injury. Don't know how severe. That's the bad news. The good news is there might be some hope on the injury front. For more on that, let's check in with Tom Hart.
All right, Chip. Yeah, thanks. Help is on the way. Mike Minor and Gavin Floyd each saw action tonight at the AAA level. They piggybacked each other, meaning Gavin Floyd got the start. Mike Minor followed him. They both put up impressive numbers, as you see, and the goal for each is to work their way back. Now, Mike Minor is still on a schedule to get back April 23rd or April 25th. There's an off day on the 24th. Floyd worked 4 innings tonight. Minor went 2 1/3. The real story is the pitch count with each of these guys. Floyd threw 60 and Minor threw 65 as they both work back towards the rotation. And then, as Freddie Gonzalez has said, you can never have enough pitching.
High fly ball to right from Curtis Granderson. Hayward with a quick check of the fence. He makes the play. And there's out number 1. Thank you, Tom. Great report. We did just get word from the Braves clubhouse that Luis Avilan left with a hamstring cramp. Same difficulty that he had last season. So Granderson flies out. He's 0 for 2. Here's Lucas Duda. He has popped out to the catcher twice and has also flied out to left. A strike to Lucas Duda.
He's got some life on his fastball too, Johnny. Throws pretty hard. It's just a matter of his command and how much work he gets and starts to feel comfortable out there.
Yeah, he has effort in all of his pitches, but especially the fastball, it looks like he closes and goes, and that can alter your command if you're not quiet with it. I was really impressed with his changeup and his curveball, the off-speed pitches that he possesses.
Duda spanks a single into center. So that's 7 hits for the Mets tonight. And Duda's first puts him aboard with 1 man out. We're back at it with the Mets here tomorrow night. Let's take a look at the Chevron pitching matchup for Game 2 of the series.
A local product. Zach Wheeler will be on the mound against Urban Santana, who makes his Braves debut. 9-10 last year with Kansas City, but with an excellent ERA of 3.24. Low batting average against. And his veteran presence will be a welcome sight too.
Loves to compete. One thing you'll see out of Urban Santana is a lot of sliders. You may see a lot, a few solo home runs. He's a fly ball strikeout type pitcher. This park should serve him well as far as some of the fly balls staying in the park. And he had some tough luck last year, like you said. The team did not reward him with as many good games that he pitched for Kansas City.
Swing and a miss by Lagares. It's 0-2. That just missed.
That's a great pitch. After a high changeup he got away with, he went in with the fastball. If he wants, he can bounce his curveball right in that same area, almost to the back foot.
Bouncing ball off the glove of Thomas. He might have one play. It's to first. Close play and in time. Lagares is out. Wonder if Terry Collins will challenge this. Here he comes. The umpires might ask to review it. Terry Collins can't, but he can ask for an explanation.
Lagares can really get down the line.
The umpire at first base is Mark Ripperger. And they are going to take a look at replay.
You know, this is the second time we've seen this happen where managers come out to argue, and there has been a replay check after the 6th inning. And I don't know if the managers are actually asking for a replay, or if it's just something that because there's a dispute, the umpires are willing to check. That was close.
Of all the plays that I think are one of the toughest to judge, it's the first place umpire and the position he's in these kind of plays. So if they can get him right, great. The system will obviously be tweaked as it goes on to create some help for the umpires.
Was the ball in the glove before the foot hit the bag?
Oh boy, that was a close one. Is it enough to overturn it? I don't think so. Confirmed, stands, or reversed.
I like that the fans at the ballpark get to see the close plays on the video scoreboards nowadays. In the old days, close plays were not allowed to be shown, but now they are. And again, from that angle, very difficult to tell.
Lagares hurt himself. He kind of stutter stepped trying to hit the bag in stride there. Slowed him down a little bit.
Again, it's not a manager's challenge. They're not allowed to do that after the 7th inning. This has to come from the umpires, but Terry Collins did come out and ask the umpires for an explanation. The crowd is murmuring as the play is replayed over and over on the high-def scoreboard, and
this is taking too long.
Right. Foot's on the bag there. But is the ball completely in the glove?
I think they're going to. That might be a reverse. After watching it on the slow motion and slowing it down, pulling the ball out of the glove there.
So again, the challenge. Not the challenge of the replay, but the challenge of the replay system was enunciated very, very succinctly and well by John Schuerholz, the Braves president, down in spring training. They want to end as many missed calls as possible and respect the unique rhythm and flow of the game.
Well, the commissioner's here tonight.
Yeah.
He's going to fire something down there.
So the call is overturned. And now Freddie Gonzalez makes his way to the mound. And is he going to make a pitching change? Yes, indeed, he is. So Lagares legs out an infield hit. And the Mets will have runners at first and second with one out in the 8th inning. Pedro Beato will be summoned from the Braves pen. It's 3-0 New York.
on and 1 man out in the Braves home opener this year. All season long, Braves baseball is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. The right stuff, low price every day. Joe Simpson, John Smoltz, Tom Hart with you. Chip Carey at the mic as the Braves celebrate Atlanta's rich diversity with the 2nd annual Heritage Weekend, May 2nd through the 4th. See the Braves take on the San Francisco Giants, plus other events including the Champions Luncheon, benefiting the Center for Civil and Human Rights, and a tribute to the Negro Leagues. Visit Braves.com/heritage for more details. Braves have used 5 relievers tonight. The latest out of the pen is Pedro Beato.
It's another one of the big relievers they have at 6'6". Long arm delivery, good fastball sink. He's got a curveball and basically 4-seam, 2-seam, and the slider. Has a smaller break to the slider. But when he's on, the ball does jump out of his hand to the catcher. And when he gets slightly underneath it, we talked about it levels the playing field a little bit.
So we'll go after Travis d'Arnaud, who broke out of a 0-4-16 slide with a couple of hits. A single, a double, and a run scored tonight. First pitch popped up by d'Arnaud. That should be the infield fly. Something you seldom see here in Atlanta. That's out number 2.
He talked to Pedro before the ball game. He was looking forward to having an opportunity to pitch against his old ball club.
I don't know if Gaddis caught him at all. Maybe some bullpens. They were talking a long time before Beato made that first pitch. Kind of reminds you of Scott Downs when he came in last year and had, "Hey guys, I'm Scott. Welcome to Atlanta." He threw 1 pitch, got out of an inning.
Yeah, that was a funny one.
Late in the season last year. Here's Tejada.
Gaddis was asking him where he got his red glove.
I might have, yeah.
Seen too many of those.
Something tells me they had a bunch of them in Cincinnati.
2 runs for Tejada tonight. An RBI single, the highlight. That was a minute ago. And he beats that ball off the plate and is behind 0-2. That replay, by the way, for keeping track at home, took 3 minutes. And it was overturned, with Lagares reaching on a hit.
In the way I understand it, after the 7th inning, the umpires can decline a manager's request to go look at it. So they thought that that was a close enough play that they went to go look at it and get it right. Look, they're not going to get every call overturned, even if it's wrong, but they're going to get more plays right. I heard Tony La Russa talk about, look, this is not to get every call right, but it's to help the umpires in situations that angles and replay give you an advantage to get it right.
And I applaud them for being so on board with this.
One and 2 for Tejada. Beato just missed with a close pitch. In the 8th, the Braves will have their 2, 3, and 4 hitters coming up. Will Colon continue? Little flare into shallow right. Hayward's going to play that on a big hop. Runner around third. Throw to the plate is going to be late. Tejada with a 2-hit, 2 RBI game brings home Lucas Duda, and that extends the Mets lead now to 4-0.
Well, that was just kind of an excuse me swing too. I thought they had him struck out on the pitch before, John.
Yeah, real good pitch that was made and didn't get the call, but this is just a part of baseball where you hate tipping your hat at any time to a hitter, but he just stuck his bat out with 2 strikes, defensive swing, and puts it in an indefensible place.
So Ike Davis will pinch hit. That answers the question. Colon will not continue. What with the long 8th inning. And Bartolo with 7 shutout, 6 hit frames against the Braves tonight.
And Davis squibs the first pitch to short. Hamilton will fire to first in time, and that will retire the side. The Mets add a run in the 8th. Here's your Delta Airlines on deck trio coming up. BJ, Freeman, and Chris Johnson. The Braves now down 4. Farnsworth will tell you about his early days this season. He will relieve Bartolo Colon.
I could come up with a lot of sayings right there, but I'll just keep it to myself. Focus on Farnsworth. There's a guy that pitched with a few teams and certainly doesn't quite have the fastball he used to have, but it still sinks, and he relies on a lot on a slider.
Kyle Farnsworth is second among active pitchers with 862 career appearances now. He trails LaTroy Hawkins.
As bad as their pen was early on, they allowed 14 runs in their first 4 games. At least in the last 2 games, they've thrown 5 shutout innings, so they're hoping that they are on the right track. Farnsworth was signed and sent to AAA just as some insurance after he was released in spring training, and then when Parnell's injury occurred, I think the first day of the season, Farnsworth got a quick callback.
B.J. Upton leads off the 8th. Farnsworth wears number 44. That's somewhat ironic on this night when we salute Henry Aaron. He was also a 44th round draft pick by the Cubs years ago. And it was a strike to even the count.
Pitched for the Braves and gave up a huge home run in a playoff game in Houston. To Brad Ausmus, as I recall.
18 innings. That game ended up going.
'93 and right on by BJ. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And Upton, tied up, is struck out to start the home 8th. Time for our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard. Tonight it features first baseman Freddie Freeman.
Active hitters. the best slugging percentage against the Mets. And the only guy ahead of him is a guy that has up to this point been considered the best hitter of this era, although I think Miguel Cabrera has supplanted him in that category.
Freddie takes low. 1 ball, no strikes. We are a week into regular season play. As Freeman awaits the pitch from Farnsworth. Almost everyone who follows the Braves and talked about this team from a national perspective was very, very worried about this team's pitching. It's funny how baseball works. The exact opposite, I would say, would be talked about now. The pitching's been outstanding, but the Braves offense has not done much of anything. They've scored 15 runs now in almost 7 games.
Well, I've often believed that if you look at last year and certainly some of the trends that the hitters are showing, I mean, it's been a streaky offense. You're going to go times where you rely heavily on the pitching staff to win baseball games. But at the same time, they should have their share of games where pitchers don't have their best stuff on the mound. They're going to make them pay. And it's going to look good at times with the amount of home runs and 7, 8, 9, 10 runs at a time. But I agree with you. Coming out of spring training, you want to shake some of those. Oh, here's an offense that strikes out a lot, doesn't run, doesn't score a lot of runs. You want to be a little bit more consistent.
That ball's hammered to straightaway center. But Norris is there. Maybe he might have knuckled on him a bit, but he hung with it. 2 outs.
And I've never understood, but it works this way with pitching too. I've never understood from a hitting standpoint how contagious it can be. Both ways. When you're going bad, it seems like a lot of people go bad. And you need that contagiousness when you're going good. You need more than a guy and a half to be hot.
It's about confidence, though, John. I keep talking about how for Dan Uggla, as an example, and BJ in spring training, they were having a little bit of success with the work and the swing they were putting together in spring training. And with a little bit of success, you get some confidence back that you go to the plate. If you're going good hitting wise, doesn't matter who's pitching, you know that you're going to put a good swing on the ball. But if the whole team is not going well, my opinion is that then guys start trying to do too much. Every guy tries to come up and hit a 3-run homer even when there's nobody on base. So that kind of permeates a ball club too when you're scuffling.
And where it translates to your pitching staff is you think you have to pitch perfect, and then you make more mistakes. So two components have to work together, and so far the Braves, despite their hitting, were able to win 4 games.
That's well hit toward left, but playable for Young. Now Farnsworth with an easy 1-2-3. Bottom half of the 8th inning preserves a 4-0 Mets lead.
is presented by authority of the Atlanta Braves and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Atlanta Braves.
Braves trailing 4-0. I'm going to ask my two partners here, Chip and Joe, what do you call this in our industry right here? That is called footage. See what I'm saying? Footage. You don't get it.
We go to the ninth. Really?
Well, the game's not going with a proper.
Must be something wrong with my new headphones.
Footage.
By the way, we got a bright new shiny truck. It is so exciting. I mean, big time, brand new for you fans. Great new equipment. Pictures are going to be that much sharper and brighter, and couldn't be prouder. Wonderful equipment.
And the footage too.
The footage is outstanding.
I don't know about the audio. Nothing to do with the audio guys, Mr. Poole.
Got to start at the bottom and work your way up. You can't start at the best. You know where to go from there.
Oh, man. Got to make that play.
You know what he thought right here? He wondered why the ball was getting bigger, and then it hit him.
Fly ball to left center. BJ's going to track this one down. He's got it. And there's out number one. I'm so proud of you. It took you 8 innings.
Yeah. I was sitting on my hands for a while.
Remarkable restraint.
To keep everything in perspective.
Yes.
Long season.
When do we see you again? When are you working again?
That's a good question. In May, I think.
May?
Yeah.
You got to ease into the season.
I was scared to death you were going to say tomorrow.
Yeah, I gotta work it slow a little bit. Start off.
All right. What's your next MLB Network assignment?
I actually fly out tomorrow to go to New York, and an old buddy of ours interview Brian McCann. We got the Yankees on Thursday against the Red Sox. That should be about a 4-hour and 43-minute game.
Yeah, things didn't go well for the Yankees again today. They got clobbered by the Orioles 14-5. Ivan Nova had some early inning troubles.
That division is going to be an incredible division to watch, just the way they battle. I mean, there's 4 teams that are going to compete for that beast in the East, as always is known.
Murphy to left. Justin on the run. That was there on the track. 2 outs for Murphy. And Brian McCann's not the only former Brave on that Yankees club.
That's
Kelly
right.
Johnson's playing there. Although Mark Teixeira's hurt, he's a former Brave.
They made quite a few changes. Of course, Jeter going out this year, announcing his retirement.
I think the Yankees are going to be good.
Yes, I would agree.
With their pitching especially, I think it's going to be much improved.
Their hitting started out real slow. And out in Houston took 2 out of 3, but the Yankees, I think, are going to be fine.
He hits and he takes inside. 1 ball, no strikes. Speaking of former Braves, Tim Hudson won again today. The Giants beat Arizona 7-3. Tim Hudson went 8 innings. For the Giants, he's 2-0. Right, hit that ball a mile. B.J. Upton tracks it down on the warning track. And it's last call for the Braves in the last of the 9th inning. Justin Upton will get it started. It's 4-0 Mets. inning. As promised earlier in the game, we have the AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo to #BravesFanPhoto for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast. That's brought to you by AT&T. Three-time All-Star Jose Valverde has taken over as the closer for the Mets now that Bobby Parnell is out with Tommy John surgery. He was supposed to, by the way, have that surgery today for the Mets. Hopefully Bobby will make the comeback for New York.
And again, he was signed to a minor league deal with no guarantees, made their ball club. And I'm sure now they are really glad to have him after the injury to Parnell. He has 1 save in 3 appearances.
Known for his animated way that he can get it done. He's a guy that relies heavily on the fastball. When he's good, he spots it. He's hard to pick up. Kind of a little pause in his delivery. And then he's got a split finger to accompany that fastball.
Valverde has 3 40-plus save seasons. 47 with the Diamondbacks in 07, 44 saves with the Astros in 2008, and 49 saves with the Tigers in 2011. But he has not pitched well in postseason play with Arizona and the Tigers. This is not a save situation. The lead's too big, but a chance for him to tune up, leading 4-0 with Justin Upton. And swing and a miss, strike 1.
I'm not sure he throws quite as hard as he used to, but he can still get it up there about 93, 94.
And because of the way he throws, it seems like a heavy fastball to the hitter. Unless he flattens it out, and that's where he's having trouble. In his latest funk was he wasn't controlling the fastball, throwing behind in counts, and it was much more hittable, and certainly led to the demise that he had in Detroit. Then you lose that confidence that we talked about earlier, and they couldn't find a spot for him at that point.
Mentioned that 49 save season back in 2011. Valverde became only the 3rd pitcher in history to be perfect in all of his save opportunities in a single season while posting 40 or more saves. Brad Lidge and Eric Gagne were the other 2 men to do that.
That's very impressive. Oh, you can appreciate that, John, to not have 1 hiccup.
Yeah, it really is. I don't care if you start nothing but fresh innings. You know, an error, a bloop, something causes you to blow a save.
Or just have a bad night.
Yeah.
Yeah, just walk a guy or 2 and base hit.
I think the old-time closers have a problem with the way the save is recorded today by everybody coming into a clean inning and not pitching that inning in 2/3 or in some cases 3 innings to receive a save. But nonetheless, the game has been specialized.
Fly ball foul by Upton. Still no balls, 2 strikes.
And I've often said as a manager, I would think that the most important part of that bullpen to keep fresh and to keep their confidence would be your closer, because he's got to come in and get the last 3 outs every single time. That single-handedly is the toughest part of closing. Sure, anybody can get 3 outs, 3-run save from time to time, but time in and time out, get those last 3 outs of a game with it being on the line, that's a little bit more difficult.
Missed inside, 1 ball, 2 strikes. So it's safe to say that you're not one who subscribes to the theory that some have that closers in the modern game are somewhat overrated for that point you just made.
Yeah, I think it's easier to get saves today because of the way the game has evolved. But I think the fact that pitching and closing out 60 games a year, that's a little bit more difficult. And, you know, it's much like a hitter who goes 0 for 4. He gets to come back the next day and redeem himself. Closer, everybody knows if you blow a save, it's a horrible feeling. And I had this one simple goal: don't ever blow 2 in a row, and you never feel like you're in a slump. You never want to feel like you get in a slump where that 2 in a row happens or 3 out of 5. That way you can be okay.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Braves need a rally in the 9th. Nobody on or out for Justin Upton.
Leadoff walk would be nice.
Out of the base hit. So good start. Upton a 2-hit night. And here's Dan Uggla. Dan is 0 for 3. A couple of strikeouts against Bartolo Colon, who went 7 innings of shutout ball.
You know, it's rare that you can keep firing fastballs and hitters don't do something, and here he did. Justin sat all over it and lined it to left field. That's why most guys, when you see a Craig Kimbrell, yes, he could throw all fastballs and get saves, but he's got that equalizer. You need that second pitch every once in a while to keep guys off your fastball, no matter how hard you throw, unless you're named Rosenthal with the Cardinals. Throws 100.
Well, this is the biggest concern the Mets have right now, and they've got a cushion here with a 4-run lead. That's a lot to overcome in the 9th inning, but they led Washington all 3 games in the opening series of the year, and Washington came back against their bullpen 3 times to sweep the series.
Sharply hit under the glove of David Wright at third. 2 on, nobody out.
I may be 100% wrong, John, about Dan Uggla, and I hope I'm not, but I really feel like we're going to see more Dan Uggla type numbers this year because his swing plane is so good. He's staying on top of the ball. There's not nearly as much uppercutting as we saw last year, and he's been hitting the ball on the nose enough to have more hits than he has. He's been getting robbed, so I have a lot of confidence that he's going to bounce back.
Great chance in the 9th for Atlanta. The tying runs on deck. Evan Gattis is in the batter's box. Evans 1 for 3. And he had a big cut.
.94 fastball. A 94 swing, just under it a bit.
And he just missed it because that pitch was in the fat part of the strike zone. And again, I know he's got another hitter to play with, but you've got to get better pitches, especially in the 9th inning. You're going to record 3 outs before the Braves score some runs. That was better location.
Braves have already used Ryan Domit off the bench tonight.
This is underneath the hands of Gattis, who loves the high fastball. You saw him turn around. Strasburg, Doc Halladay when he was pitching here.
After Simmons, the pitcher's spot is scheduled for Atlanta. Braves have Laird, they have Romero Pena, they have Jordan Schaefer down there.
Has he thrown a split yet?
No. And this was part of the problem towards the end there with Detroit. He didn't have a put-out pitch. He couldn't put anybody away. The more fastballs you see, the more the hitter can time it.
That one foul past Doug DeCenzo, the Braves' third base coach. It's 0-2.
That might have been one.
Yeah, this is the first off-speed pitch that we've seen. Came in at about 82 miles an hour, and you see there isn't much to it. The only thing is it just tumbled over the strike zone. Almost looked like a changeup instead of the split that should go straight down. But his arm angle is the reason why that split varies and fluctuates and cuts and doesn't go straight down, because he almost lays it off with his wrist. You got to be firm with the wrist and go down off your front leg.
Deep short. Tejada's going to go to third for the force play. Heads up play by the Mets shortstop to force Justin Upton, and out number 1.
You got to have a third baseman that's heads up to this too. David Wright was racing back to the bag when you saw it headed toward the hole. If you've got a third baseman that just becomes a spectator, then your shortstop is hung out to dry.
So there's the first out of the inning. Here's Andrelton Simmons. Braves shortstop is 1 for 3 in the game. Back to the mound. Valverde throws it off target. Safe and safe. There's a gift. He pulled Murphy off the bag, and Danny Murphy had no throw to first. They're loaded with one out.
I can tell you how many times you practice this play. Fielded no problem. Not a problem with the mound, but he drops down, and the ball sails. So instead of getting that one out, you can see that's the way he lays off. He almost, if he did, throw a baseball that way from the mound to the home plate, and that is the opportunity for the Braves.
It was almost like he was trying to guide it out there too by dropping down. So the Braves have a chance.
Gerald Laird, a good fastball hitter.
The Braves last year had an astounding 44 comeback wins. How ironic.
Yeah. Did you see what the attendance was tonight too? 47,144.
Wow. Let's see if Laird can make it a 4-4 game. A long one would do that.
So here's a perfect example. Two really good pitches, 0-2. And now what? Most closers, most situations, you're so defensive as a hitter because now you've got a weapon that closer likes to go to. But so far, Valverde has not shown the ability to have that put away pitch.
0-2 with one out. Little fly ball into shallow right field. Murphy will drift back. That's the infield fly. And that's the second out in the bottom of the ninth inning. And the fate of the game rests in the hands of Jason Hayward.
If you're Jason Hayward here and you're watching how Valverde has attacked every hitter, the first pitch has been right there. I think you got to be aggressive and try to look at that fastball to try and drive.
And don't try to pull it. Don't think about pulling it. Drive it.
Base is loaded for Hayward. And a strike call. Great time for Jason to break out of his 0-for-21 slide.
Outfield very deep. Concede a single. Last time up when he rolled one over to second base. In fact, he's done that twice tonight. It looked like pitches from Cologne that were running away from him a little bit. That he went out to get, and Cologne just had him set up perfectly to try to get him to go get it and then try and pull it.
Now the Braves down to their final strike. One and two for Hayward. Valverde wanted that.
Yeah, that's the best pitch he's made with 2 strikes. That was good discipline and staying off that pitch awfully close, but you could see that's off the plate.
Yeah, especially when Darno was set up a little bit off the plate and still had to move his glove a little to his left. Lance Barksdale was not going to give him that call because of it.
Now it's 2-2. No place to put Hayward. Full count.
Darno's doing a lot of bouncing around back there too. It's almost like after he gave the signal to Valverde there, he forgot where the location was and he shifted inside, and then at the last second he kind of jumped to the outside.
If you're Valverde, there's no reason to have to throw a strike here. I mean, I know the simple math would say, oh, you nowhere to put him. There is somewhere to put him. You don't want to give up the grand slam, and then you can work to the next hitter. So it's not automatic that he's just going to throw this down the middle.
And Hayward rips it foul past first.
He swung at ball 4, but nonetheless, in this situation, the guy on deck also struggling a little bit.
Yeah, that was ball 4 for sure, but a mistake too, location-wise.
No one ever wants to give up runs, and I know this is not a safe situation, but sometimes you have to play the percentages as well.
Well, you got to win the game,
right?
Pitch 25 for Valverde in the 9th. And the 3-2. High fly center. Lagares is going back, and he's on the track, and he's got it. And the Mets have shut out the Braves in the home opener. Mets 4, Atlanta nothing.